Yo, salute, salute. My bad, fam. I just came on a little late. I was still watching Darren. What's going on, chat? What up, everybody? You know? So how's everybody doing, man? It's Wednesday night. My bad, I'm on. You know, I'm doing good, you know what I mean? I was just gonna talk about a little bit of this debate, a little bit, just for a little bit. I'm not gonna focus on this debate like that, man, because I just think there's a couple key little moments and stuff in it, man, when he was dropping some bombs and stuff. There was some key moments in this debate. It really was, you know, but yeah. I just like how JD Vance, what's going on? What up? I just like how JD Vance called out the what's his name? Censorship. All right, so hold up. Yeah, man. What's going on? Doc Bar Shannon was salute, my bad. Sorry for being, you know what I'm saying, late, but yeah, man. All that good stuff. Yep, I'm sharing it out again, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, so what's going on with y'all tonight, man? So how did y'all think that this cat JD did? Or what's this dude's name? Tim Walz, whatever the hell his name is. How you think he did? All right, so how you think he did, man? But I'm live, man, live and direct, live in effect, live and direct. All right, man. My bag, I'm back on. Baby. So what's going on? How do y'all think he did? Either one of them did? You know what I mean? I just think what's his name was like a deer in the headlights. What's his name? Waltz or whatever his name is. Waltz. You know, I think he was like a damn deer in the headlights. You know, what's his name definitely was on the game, but I just think, you know, I think it's just a lot of talk when it comes to these presidential debates, man. It just be a lot of like promises and shit and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And this, I'm going to do this and that. And that don't be happening most of the time. People don't be saying what they're going to do or doing what they said they're going to do. That's just how it is. You know, that is just how it is, man. But yes, okay, so yeah, man. So I want to play the part right here where this dude JD Vance, this cat, was talking about the censorship, man. So I'm gonna get tabs over. Medieval, yeah, they mad medieval, man. Medieval like times in this bitch, man.
Vance, you have said you would not have certified the last presidential election and would have asked the states to submit alternative electors. That has been called unconstitutional and illegal. Would you again seek to challenge this year's election results?
I know they were kind of on him more than, but it's just off stage. It's just like, so you're gonna do it the first time with the Trump and Harris debate, and you're gonna do it the second time. Right? I don't know, man. I just think a lot of stuff be entertainment.
Even if every governor certifies the results, I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, Nora, first of all, I think that we're focused on the future. We need to figure out how to solve the inflation crisis caused by Kamala Harris's policies, make housing affordable, make groceries affordable, and that's what we're focused on. But I want to answer your question because you did ask it. Look, what President Trump has said is that there were problems in 2020, and my own belief is that we should fight about those issues, debate those issues peacefully in the public square. And that's all I've said. And that's all that Donald Trump has said. Remember, he said that on January the 6th, the protesters ought to protest peacefully. And on January the 20th, what happened? Joe Biden became the president. Donald Trump left the White House. And now, of course, unfortunately, we have all of the negative policies that have come from the Harris-Biden administration. I believe that we actually do have a threat to democracy in this country, but unfortunately, it's not the threat to democracy that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz want to talk about. It is the threat of censorship. It's Americans casting aside lifelong friendships because of disagreements over politics. It's big technology companies silencing their fellow citizens. And it's Kamala Harris saying that rather than debate and persuade her fellow Americans, she'd like to censor people who engage in misinformation. I think that is a much bigger threat to democracy than anything that we've seen in this country in the last 4 years, in the last 40 years. Now, I'm really proud, especially given that I was raised by two lifelong blue-collar Democrats, to have the endorsement of Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, lifelong leaders in the Democratic coalition. And of course, they don't agree with me and Donald Trump on every issue. We don't have to agree on every issue, but we're united behind a basic American First Amendment principle that we ought to debate our differences. We ought to argue about them. We ought to try to persuade our fellow Americans. Kamala Harris is engaged in censorship at an industrial scale. She did it during COVID. She's done it over a number of other issues. And that, to me, is a much bigger threat to democracy than what Donald Trump said when he said that protesters should peacefully protest on January the 6th.
Well,
with little more than a month to go, the Republican
fair use, by the way, fair use under the Copyright Act, 1976. This gives me allowance to report on this video for commentary and educational purposes.
and Democratic President
the support and the relief that they so desperately need and so rightly deserve, and particularly devastating in terms of the loss of life that this community has experienced, the loss of normalcy, and the loss of critical resources.
Meanwhile, fresh off last night's CBS vice presidential debate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz kicked off a Pennsylvania bus tour.
From her first day as a prosecutor to right now as vice president, Kamala Harris has only one client: the people. The people.
And Donald Trump's running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, rallied crowds in Michigan.
We already ran this experiment once. Donald Trump's economic policies worked for American families. They worked for American consumers.
Governor, Senator, thank you for joining us.
In the vice presidential debate last night, Vance came out focused on Harris.
Governor Walz, you blame Donald Trump. Who has been the vice president for the last 3.5 years? And the answer is your running mate, not mine.
Well, Governor Walz had a shakier start. He was asked about the Middle East and whether Israel should preemptively strike at Iran.
Israel's ability to be able to defend itself is absolutely fundamental. Getting its hostages back, fundamental, and ending the humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
At the top of Senator Vance's agenda, immigration. Moderators asked him about former President Trump's vow to carry out mass deportations.
I think the first thing that we do is we start with the criminal migrants. About 1 million of those people have committed some form of crime in addition to crossing the border illegally.
The contrast was clear, but the tone civil. Walz blamed Trump for blocking a relatively conservative border bill and criticized Vance for inflammatory, false statements about Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio.
I believe Senator Vance wants to solve this, but by standing with Donald Trump and not working together to find a solution, it becomes a talking point. And when it becomes a talking point like this, we dehumanize and villainize other human beings.
The people that I'm most worried about in Springfield, Ohio, are the American citizens who have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's open border.
The moderators stepped in with one of just 2 fact checks in the debate, sparking a fiery exchange.
And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status temporary protected
Well,
status.
Margaret,
Nora?
but
Thank you.
Senator, we have
no,
so much
for
to get
sure.
to.
Margaret,
Thank you.
I think it's
Oh.
important
We're
because
going to turn out of the
debate-
economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
Damn, okay. I think a lot of this is staged, man. It's like they were doing Trump the same way. How does this shit is bullshit to me, man, to be honest with you, man. I don't believe in coincidences, man, at all. I don't know.
the rules were that
The
you guys weren't
economy-
going to
we're-
fact check.
Another
Not stage. How fair is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, so you fact check him, and I don't know, man. And you have it on CBS, like, okay.
substantive contrast came over abortion. Vance was asked about his previous support of a national 15-week ban. He called it a national standard and pivoted to say Republicans have to do better in explaining their position.
As a Republican who proudly wants to protect innocent life in this country, who proudly wants to protect the vulnerable, is that my party, we've got to do so much better of a job at earning the American people's trust back on this issue where they frankly just don't trust us. And I think that's one of the things that Donald Trump and I are endeavoring to do. I want us as a Republican Party to be pro-family in the fullest sense of the word.
But Walz found his footing and blasted Vance's words as masking a GOP that he sees as oppressing women's rights.
How can we as a nation say that your life and your rights, as basic as the right to control your own body, is determined on geography? Donald Trump is trying to figure out how to get the political right of this. I agree with a lot of what Senator Vance said about what's happening. His running mate, though, does not, and that's the problem.
The debate was often substantive and notably more congenial than past face-offs, ending on a question and key exchange about democracy. Vance in the past has said he would have tried to block the 2020 results. He was asked if he would challenge election results this year if he loses.
Look, what President Trump has said is that there were problems in 2020. And my own belief is that we should fight about those issues, debate those issues peacefully in the public square. And that's all I've said. And that's all that Donald Trump has said.
But Walz criticized Vance for not acknowledging the election results and Trump's relationship to the January 6th Capitol riot.
This is one that we are miles apart on. This was a threat to our democracy in a way that we had not seen. And it manifested itself because of Donald Trump's inability to say. He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
Elsewhere, at a Wisconsin news conference last night, Trump himself also had a telling non-answer to the same question.
Do you trust the process this time around?
I'll let you know in about 33 days.
Closing in on 1 month left and still many questions about how this ends. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Lisa Desjardins.
All right, man. So, all right,
Create an epic video using Envato assets and a touch
Let's
of
go.
Imani.
let me jump up, open up another listening real quick. Hold on. Sorry about that. It's fine. All right, so let's see.
who presides over an abortion where the baby survives, the doctor is under no obligation to provide life-saving care to a baby who survives a botched late-term abortion. That is, I think,
That's
whether
not
you're
true.
pro-choice or
That's not how the law
pro-abortion,
is.
that is fundamentally barbaric. And that's why I use that word, Nora, is because some of what we've seen, do you want to force Catholic hospitals to perform abortions against their will? Because Kamala Harris has supported suing Catholic nuns to violate their freedom of conscience. We can be a big and diverse country where we respect people's freedom of conscience and make the country more pro-baby and pro-family. But please.
Yes, Governor, please respond.
Look, this is one where there's always something there. This is a very simple proposition. These are women's decisions to make about their healthcare decisions.
Oh my God. How is this only women's decision? So the women have the baby by themselves? Women's, what is that? What is this? Artificial insemination? What the fuck, man? I don't understand this. What's up with this dude? That's a damn blatant lie. How is this? How is it? These people is crazy, man. How is that the woman's right when the baby, the man has the woman has the baby with the man? Plus, isn't there a whole nother body, a whole nother life inside the woman? I don't know, man. I just don't fall for weird, weird little, you know what I'm saying? Little, it's basically just, I would just look at it as just propaganda, you know, brainwashing. You know what I'm saying? Same old talking point. Women's rights. Just it's a man saying this too.
And the physicians who know best when they need to do this, trying to distort the way a law is written to try and make a point. That's not it at all.
What was I wrong about, Governor? Please tell me, what was I wrong about?
That is not the way the law is written. Look, I've given this advice on a lot of things, that getting involved, getting engaged. That's been misread, and it was fact-checked at the last debate. But the point on this is there's a continuation of these guys to try and tell women or to get involved. I use this line on this, just mind your own business on this. Things work best when Roe versus Wade was in place.
So that's not,
we do
the father's business, though. What about the dad? So it's not the dad's business. So even he should shut up. See this? I don't know what kind of like masculine man this is. Like when men talk like that, I gotta look at you like a weirdo. You know, what kind of masculine principles is that? We're crazy, man. Something's wrong with us. Let's go.
Duration of Roe, that works best. That doesn't preclude us from increasing funding for children. It doesn't increase us from making sure that once that child's born, like in Minnesota, they get meals, they get early childhood education, they get health care. So the hiding behind we're going to do all these other things when you're not proposing them in your budget, Kamala Harris is proposing them. She's proposing all those things to make life easier.
Safety is more than the absence of crime. It is the presence of well-being. Just Safe is about investing in things that make us all safe. Visit justsafe.org.
All right, so what's the name? I mean, it looked like what's the name? JD Vance was a little bit more.
Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
It's a damning non-answer for you to not talk about censorship. Obviously, Donald Trump and I think that there were problems in 2020. We've talked about it. I'm happy to talk about it further. But you guys attack us for not believing in democracy. The most sacred right under the United States democracy is the First Amendment. You yourself have said there's no First Amendment right to misinformation. Kamala Harris wants to use the power of government and big tech to silence people.
There was no hate speech in the 90s. There was no hate speech in the early 2000s. Where did this shit come from? When did this word come? When did they make this word up? Hate speech. I'm barely just hearing about this shit. What hate speech? For who? Or what? But that's not hateful. Blocking people's opinion, making sure people can't express their opinion. That's not hateful. That's not anti-democratic. Democratic. What the fuck is hate speech? It's a new word to me. I don't know. It's just new shit to me. I never heard of this shit till the 2000s. I'm like, what the fuck is a hate speech? What is that? Towards who? What is that? And what's the definition of hate speech? What is the definition of it? I'm confused. That's a new one to me. Oh, hate speech and What? I don't know, man. These men talking like this, these men politicians talking like this. I mean, I'm not saying, stupid is stupid, man or woman. Ignorant is fucking ignorant, like these people are. But you can't make this up. This new type of stuff takes the cake. Shit takes the damn cake, man. This dude's a damn idiot. Yes, anything they don't like is hate speech. You know what I'm saying? What does that mean?
People from speaking their minds. That is a threat to democracy that will long outlive this present political moment. I would like Democrats and Republicans to both reject censorship. Let's persuade one another. Let's argue about ideas, and then let's come together afterwards.
You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. That's the test. That's the Supreme Court test.
Tim, fire in a crowded theater. You guys wanted to kick people off of Facebook for saying that toddlers shouldn't wear masks.
Senator, the governor does have the floor.
Fire in a crowded theater. That is criticizing the policies of the government, which is the right of every American.
Senator, the governor does have the floor for 1 minute to respond to you.
Yeah. Well,
that's a good point.
I don't run Facebook. What I do know is I see a candidate out there who refused, and now again, and this, I'm pretty shocked by this. He lost the election. This is not a debate.
If you become vice president, why should Americans trust that you will give Donald Trump the advice he needs to hear and not just the advice he wants to hear?
Well, first of all, Margaret, because I've always been open. And sometimes, of course, I've disagreed with the president, but I've also been extremely open about the fact that I was wrong about Donald Trump. I was wrong, first of all, because I believed some of the media stories that turned out to be dishonest fabrications of his record. But most importantly, Donald Trump delivered for the American people. Rising wages, rising take-home pay, an economy that worked for normal Americans, a secure southern border, a lot of things, frankly, that I didn't think he'd be able to deliver on. And yeah, when you screw up, when you misspeak, when you get something wrong and you change your mind, you ought to be honest with the American people about it.
You said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year.
Look, I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community.
Wow.
I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect. And I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that.
It's like a totally different vibe, a totally different dynamic when they lie. You know what I'm saying? When the Democrats lie, it's just like, ain't nobody in the tabloids talking about this. Ain't nobody really criticize it. Ain't nobody, you know what I'm saying? There's not too many people on the YouTube station talking about how they just lie about that. I can't stand a lie, period. You know what I'm saying? I don't trust lies. So therefore, I can't keep trusting this shit and this person, this guy. Kamala Harris, as long as these motherfuckers fucking that stupid shit. I can't trust it. I can't, I won't trust it. You know what I'm saying? You know, why should I, right? But they all full of shit at the end of the day. They're all full of shit at the end of the day. Yeah, I'm about to right now. This shit is corny. I just like how
many times I will talk a lot. I will get caught up in the rhetoric. But being there, the impact it made, the difference it made in my life, I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you he wouldn't be praising Xi Jinping about COVID. And I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing.
So first of all, Margaret, before we talk about deportations, we have to stop the bleeding. We have a historic immigration crisis because Kamala Harris started and said that she wanted to undo all of Donald Trump's border policies.
Kamala Harris was the attorney general of the largest state, a border state in California. She's the only person in this race who prosecuted transnational gangs for human trafficking and drug interventions. But look, we all want to solve this. Most of us want to solve this.
How you let the transnational gangs in there and then you talk about you arresting them? You didn't hear nothing about no deportation though, right? You didn't hear nothing about that.
Why we had the fairest and the toughest bill on immigration that this nation's seen. But as soon as I was getting ready to pass and actually tackle this, Donald Trump said no. told them to vote against it because it gives him a campaign issue. It gives him what would Donald Trump talk about if we actually did some of these things?
The only thing that she did when she became the vice president, when she became the appointed border czar, was to undo 94 Donald Trump executive actions that opened the border. This problem is leading to massive problems in the United States of America.
We could come together and solve this if we didn't let Donald Trump continue to make it an issue. And the consequences in Springfield were the governor had to send state law enforcement to escort kindergartners to school. I believe Senator Vance wants to solve this, but by standing with Donald Trump and not working together to find a solution, it becomes a talking point. And when it becomes a talking point like this, we dehumanize and villainize other human beings.
Now, Governor Walz brought up the community of Springfield, and
I'm not with this. That's some, what's the name? Desensitization. I'm not with all that. Desensitizing us to care more about them than us. I'm not
very worried about the things that I've said in Springfield. Look, in Springfield, Ohio, and in communities all across this country, you've got schools that are overwhelmed. You've got hospitals that are overwhelmed. You have got housing that is totally unaffordable because we brought in millions of illegal immigrants to compete with Americans for scarce homes. The people that I'm most worried about in Springfield, Ohio, are the American citizens who have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's open border. It is a disgrace, Tim. And I actually think, I agree with you. I think you want to solve this problem, but I don't think that Kamala Harris does.
I don't talk about my faith a lot, but Matthew 25:40 talks about, to the least amongst us, you do unto me. I think that's true of most Americans. They simply want order to it. This bill does it. It's funded. It's supported by the people who do it. And it lets us keep our dignity about how we treat other people.
Just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important
we're
because
going to turn out of the economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
the rules were that
they shut them down real quick. I'm about to go to something else. Did they just shut them down real quick? I'm about to go to the lot right now. Let me play one more minute of this.
You guys are going to fact check. And since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret.
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The
we want to have
app is not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut.
You know,
well, all right, let me go. This is some clown shit. Let me go on to Dellsburg. Does it cut the mics real quick? Let me go on to something else, man.
I grew up in a working class family in a neighborhood where I knew a lot of young women who had unplanned pregnancies and decided to terminate those pregnancies because they feel like they didn't have any other options. One of them is actually very dear to me. She felt like if she hadn't had that abortion, that it would have destroyed her life because she was in an abusive
hand movement. Look at the hand sign.
Relationship. And I think that what I take from that as a Republican who proudly wants to protect innocent life in this country, who proudly wants to protect the vulnerable, is that my party, we've got to do so much better of a job at earning the American people's trust back on this issue where they frankly just don't trust us. And I think that's one of the things that Donald Trump and I are endeavoring to do. I want us as a Republican Party to be pro-family in the fullest sense of the word. I want us to support fertility treatments. I want us to make it easier for moms to afford to have babies. I want it to make it easier for young families to afford a home so they can afford a place to raise that family. And I think there's so much that we can do on the public policy front just to give women more options.
When you listen to Vice President Harris talk about this subject and you hear me talk about it, you hear her talking exactly the same. Donald Trump is trying to figure out how to get the political right of this. I agree with a lot of what Senator Vance said about what's happening. His roommate, though, does not. And that's the problem. I got a 17-year-old, and and he witnessed a shooting at a community center playing volleyball. Those things don't leave you. No one's trying to scaremonger and say we're taking your guns, but I ask all of you out there, do you want your schools hardened to look
What does any of that? And so if you take so you take regular motherfuckers going to work guns, how is that gonna stop crime? If you take a motherfucking Joe Schmo 9 to 5 motherfucking square motherfucker's gun, how the fuck is that gonna stop crime? Is that the criminal motherfucker? The Joe Schmo regular motherfucker that's minding his business that pays taxes? Who's the criminals? I don't get it. Like, what the fuck does any of this got to do with stopping crime? So I mean, what? That's just like that's just like that child support shit. Oh, we're gonna make an incentive to where we're gonna, if you don't pay, we're gonna take away the driver's license. How you gonna take a motherfucking driver's license? How you expect them to make money and get to work? Boy, I tell you, man, I hate when they start talking this gun stuff. I'm just like, what is wrong with these motherfuckers, bro? Grown men talking this bullshit, just lies. I mean, that's just basically control, taking away everybody's shit, so only the cops and the government have. So you can't arm yourself.
like a fort? Is that what we have to go when we know there's countries around?
That's how you know they lying. And then look, this is how hypocritical these motherfuckers are. They giving all this money, billions to Ukraine for weapons. How are you giving all this money to billions to Ukraine for weapons, but you're trying to take the weapons of the people in your country? Very interesting. So it's okay for certain people to have weapons, right? Certain groups. All right, man. Let me play the rest of the solution real quick.
On the world, that their children aren't practicing these types of drills.
Because you know why? Because they took their guns. That's why. Most of those countries don't have guns. And that's how you know this is a psyop. Why is it not happening around the world where they still do have guns? Why don't you hear about no mass shooting in other countries? Why do you only hear why do you don't hear about mass shootings in private schools? Why don't you hear about mass shooting in Catholic schools? I don't know.
They're being kids. We owe it to them to get a fix.
Tim, first of all, I didn't know that your 17-year-old witnessed a shooting. I'm sorry about that, and I hope that he's doing okay. Christ have mercy. It is awful. We unfortunately have a mental health crisis in this country that I really do think that we need to get to the root causes of, because I don't think it's the whole reason why we have such a bad gun violence problem, but I do think it's a big piece of it.
Just because you have a mental health issue doesn't mean you're violent. And I think what we end up doing is we start looking for a scapegoat. Sometimes it just is the guns.
Governor, you say trust the experts, but those same experts for 40 years said that if we shipped our manufacturing base off to China, we'd get cheaper goods. They lied about that. They said if we shipped our industrial base off to other countries, to Mexico and elsewhere, it would make the middle class stronger. They were wrong about that. They were wrong about the idea that if we made America less self-reliant,
for them to even for you to even pay income to
less.
I guess you know what they said. What they said. What's the name? Just a piece of paper, the Constitution. I think they really believe it, man. It's just a piece of paper.
Productive in our own nation, that it would somehow make us better off, and they were wrong about it. And for the first time in a generation, Donald Trump had the wisdom and the courage to say to that bipartisan consensus, we're not doing it anymore.
Much of what the senator said right there, I'm in agreement with him on this. I watched it happen too. I watched it to my communities, and we talked about that. We're in agreement that we bring those home. The issue is Donald Trump is talking about it. Kamala Harris has a record.
All right, man. Let's get this dude is just talking about Trump. This shit is weird. I see that's the play and shit. That's the little play because they know people are stupid. All right, so all right, man. I got a couple things going. Okay, so I got said there was a lady that was named after. This is interesting. The 1958 hurricane. All right, hold up.
Don't smash your piggy bank to death just because you need new irons.
Very weird.
These Tacoma golf irons are crafted for tour-level performance without the classic industry overpricing. Designed for power and precision in Scandinavia. Don't let the golf industry trick you into...
66 years ago today, another Hurricane Helene was barreling toward the low country. That same day, a baby was born and named after the storm that at that time skirted the South Carolina coast. News 2's Emma Charles spoke to the family about this unlikely coincidence.
Tonight, Sonia Helene and her mother, daughter, and granddaughter celebrate her birthday in the wake of another Hurricane Helene, like the one on the night she was born. On September 27, 1958, Margaret Williams went into labor in the middle of one of the worst storms she remembers in Charleston, with winds whipping as she rushed to the hospital. After a 24-hour labor in the middle of the storm, she gave birth to her daughter, giving her the middle name Helene after the storm.
Finally, after lots of laboring and pain and being afraid and being away from family, she was born 6 pounds 9 ounces. And when asked, what are you going to call her? I said, Helene. I'm going to name her after this stone because I will never forget it.
Today, a familiar circumstance for the two women, weathering another Hurricane Helene as it rocked the Palmetto State exactly 66 years to the day after the first.
And they said Helene, and everybody started calling. Are you really going to have another storm? You brought a storm in when you were born, and now you're going to have another.
I think that's weird. Why did they? So they named it 66 years ago. They named it Helene, and then 66 years later, there's another hurricane named Helene. Very interesting. Oh yeah, they do. I got some stuff on that. Yep. They
another storm after all these years.
After making it through the worst impacts this morning, Sonia, Helene, and her mother are celebrating alongside their family.
I'm blessed just to be here today to see 66 years later. Didn't know that Hurricane Helene was coming back, but I'm blessed to see it. And, you know, it's just a blessing. It's just honorable. And I feel, I think they're going to retire Hurricane Helene now after the storm.
That's weird.
Now that the storm has passed, the family plans to go to Topgolf tonight to celebrate.
That is very weird. What up? What up? Monel in the house. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the chat. Junior Coltrane, Doc Boss, share. You know what I'm saying? Salute. All right, so share this out to y'all social media if y'all can. Share this out to your Instagrams. You know what I'm saying? Damn, that's crazy though. All right, let's go to something else. I don't believe in coincidences. Very interesting, huh? What? Damn, they named the same, and then they had a storm in '77 that was 47 years ago. You know what I'm saying? We already know it. 47 problem is Euclid. That's Masonic. You know what I'm saying? Let's go some more since we're on the weather. Let's see. Something that's a little bit more. Yeah, man, let's go a little bit on here.
Now, how do you know if you know how to do?
As I am taping this episode, Hurricane Helene is projected to be striking the coast of the panhandle of Florida, bringing what's been described as devastating storm surges. And we certainly hope for the safety of everybody there. It's not the only time in history that a hurricane is hit in late September. On September 26, 1955, U.S. Navy P-2V Neptune aircraft that was flying into Hurricane Janet was lost, killing all 8 crew on board, as well as 2 journalists. To date, it is the only Atlantic Hurricane Hunter aircraft to have been lost. Rest in peace, heroes. But there was a period, actually more than a couple of decades, when the U.S. government was actually convinced that they might be able to tame nature's vortex. The ambitious Project Storm Fury deserves to be remembered. The idea of humanity manipulating the weather is not exactly new. The Smithsonian's Science History Institute notes, for example, the ideas of pioneering meteorologist James Pollard Espy, whose convection theory of storms revolutionized meteorology and resulted in his appointment as the first meteorologist for the United States government, a position for which he laid the basis for scientific weather forecasting. But Espy's ideas went beyond predicting weather. Rather, he argued that he could eliminate droughts, heat waves, and cold snaps, keep the rivers navigable, and render the air healthy by clearing it regularly of noxious vapors. His method? He suggested setting fire to the forest of the Appalachian Mountains and thus causing a heat updraft that would drive thunderstorms. He suggested setting such fires weekly, preferred Sunday evenings. Smithsonian notes dryly, although SB was justifiably celebrated for his convective theory, his reputation was tarnished by the ridicule his rainmaking proposal received. His was not, perhaps, the most dramatic proposal. In the 1880s, flamboyant patent attorney Robert St. George Dyrenforth, a Civil War veteran whom the Lancaster, Pennsylvania intelligencer said had received wounds in nearly every part of his body, theorized that explosions in the atmosphere could cause rain. In 1891, he used his theory on the United States Capitol. The intelligencer writes, about dawn one morning, the Capitol was awakened by a mighty series of explosions in the vicinity of White Lot. The detonations were terrific and in rapid succession. The populace scurried to the doorways, apprehensive that the warships of some foreign power feigning an attack on the nation's seat of power, but instead, Smithsonian writes, Dyrenforth, with a grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, took a team of artillerists to Texas to attack the atmosphere on multiple fronts. With dynamite and blasting powder, mortar shells, smoke bombs, electrified kites, exploding oxyhydrogen balloons, and even fireworks. The results were questionable, although the colonel took credit for every rainstorm in the vicinity, and henceforth the eccentric colonel was called Rainmaker, but the experiments didn't continue. These were but a few attempts, as Professor James Roger Fleming of James Colby College noted on the Smithsonian website.
Like, how grimy is that? It's just control, you know. They're trying to do this, brother. Like, they're helping us out, doing us a favor. That's just control. You know, that's our control. You know, hold up.
Over the past 2 centuries, dreams of weather and climate control have produced a series of ill-considered and ill-fated interventions aimed at what at the time seemed to be the most pressing issues of the day, from health and farming in the 1830s, Western drought in the 1890s, and fog and aviation in the 1920s, to Cold War attempts to use weather as a weapon, and onto current heroic responses to global warming. But of all the attempts to control weather, one has a particular imperative and has been the focus of experimentation: the attempt to control one of nature's most destructive forces. The science website How Stuff Works explains, it depends on how you measure it, but by any way you slice it, hurricanes release a phenomenal amount of energy. The website measures the energy generated by wind, as well as the energy that generates the clouds and rain. In their calculation, a typical hurricane will generate and release upon the environment the equivalent of 10,000 nuclear bombs. And we're just talking about average hurricanes here. Are they right?
These people are sick, man.
Not China. According to the administration, have been responsible for the deaths of many people. Began to impact the strength of a hurricane. NOAA's Hurricane Research Division explained in the Bulletin of the Society, since a hurricane's destructive potential increases rapidly as its maximum wind becomes stronger, a reduction as small as 10% would have been worthwhile. The idea began with the introduction of the still used and still controversial practice of cloud seeding. We all know that water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. But that is not strictly true, as the science website Skybrary explains. The freezing point of water is 0 degrees Celsius, but it might be more accurate to say that the melting point of ice is 0 degrees Celsius. This is because, for a number of complex reasons, water exists in liquid form well below 0 degrees Celsius. Water that remains liquid below the common freezing point is called supercooled water. And it turns out supercooled water is quite common in certain types of clouds. The website Phys.org explains supercooled liquids are trapped in a metastable state even well below the freezing point, which can only be achieved in liquids that do not contain seeds that may trigger crystallization. Clouds at high altitude are a good example for this. They contain tiny droplets of water that, in the absence of seed crystals, do not form ice despite the low temperatures. That is to say, the water is so pure in clouds that it lacks impurities like dust around which the water crystallizes. The website of NASA's Earth Observatory explains supercooling may sound exotic, but it occurs pretty routinely in Earth's atmosphere. Altocumulus clouds, a common type of mid-altitude cloud, are mostly composed of water droplets supercooled to a temperature of about minus 15 degrees Celsius. Altocumulus clouds with supercooled tops cover about 8% of Earth's surface at any given time. There is, however, a limit. At minus 40 degrees, coincidentally the mathematical point where the Fahrenheit and Celsius scales converge, supercooled droplets will quickly freeze. As NASA explains, air temperatures over jet wings often cool by as much as 20 degrees Celsius, pushing supercooled water droplets to the point of freezing. This is what causes the aerodynamic contrails behind aircraft. The supercooled water in clouds might have been cool, but it wasn't really super cool in terms of meteorology until 1946, when Dr. Vincent Schaefer, working in a General Electric laboratory, made an accidental discovery. The University of Arizona Water Research Center writes that Dr. Schaefer was doing research on a hot summer day and cold temperatures were required. He was using a chest-type deep freezer, and he decided to lower the temperature further by placing a chunk of dry ice into the deep freeze. He noticed an unexpected reaction. While working over the open freezer, his breath had created a small cloud of supercooled water droplets. These droplets appeared as a sort of haze in the freezer when light was shown through them. Introducing dry ice caused the water droplets to freeze due to the very cold temperatures of the dry ice. They froze, forming tiny ice crystals that scintillated in the light. The university notes that the classic experiment is easily replicated. What is most important, however, is the implication. The university website continues. Dr. Schaefer's serendipitous discovery demonstrated that supercooled cloud water droplets, common in clouds, could be artificially induced to freeze. And science began to theorize. If supercooled water in clouds could be so induced, would those clouds then release their moisture? Could scientists produce rain? And as the water was supercooled because it lacked seeds upon which to crystallize, this new idea became called cloud seeding, something that Schaefer initially attempted by flying through supercooled clouds in a plane equipped to drop dry ice particles, much like what had happened in his freezer. The idea of cloud seeding gained enough traction that in 1947, the government contracted with General Electric on an ambitious program to test the process, Project Cirrus. Meg Marquardt of Mississippi State University explained on the science website Earth. Together with GE, the various branches of the government and military formed a coalition headed by GE scientist and Nobel laureate Irving Langmuir, called Project Cirrus, which was to investigate the possibilities of cloud seeding, an early form of geoengineering for a host of potential uses, like producing rain in arid regions. But the project soon went after more than rain. Marquardt continues. If an injection of dry ice could disrupt the structure of the storm, the project scientists reasoned, then perhaps the hurricane would dissipate. Right after World War II, science could do anything, says Hugh Willoughby.
Wow. Crazy. Interesting, right?
An atmospheric scientist at Florida International University in Miami. No one had thought through what would happen if you seeded a hurricane. They didn't know about the cloud structure of a hurricane. It was just kind of, let's do it. To be safe, the project leaders decided to test their theory on an Atlantic hurricane that was predicted to wander harmlessly out to sea, away from land. NOAA explains that the opportunity arrived in 1948. It wasn't until late in the following hurricane season that Air Force planes and Navy personnel became available to carry out the mission. On October 12th, a hurricane, designated King by the Air Force Hurricane Office, moved northeastward over Florida, dumping tropical downpours on the southern end, which caused damaging flooding that persisted for days. But the next day, the storm moved off the coast and continued out to sea. King offered an opportunity for Project Cirrus. NOAA continues. This seemed an ideal case for Project Cirrus, as the hurricane was no longer interacting with land and should not affect anyone after the experiment.
Right.
So The United States Air Force attacked Hurricane King with the same weapons that it used to defeat Hitler and Tojo, namely one B-29 and two B-17 bombers. NOAA writes that large chunks of dry ice were fed into a crusher on the first B-17 and dumped from the belly into the clouds below. The second B-17 followed a half mile behind and 3,000 feet above to document the cloud changes. And the trailing B-29 was the control aircraft and carried Schaefer to monitor the changes and direct the other two planes. The results were noted, but not spectacular. They first made a half-hour run over 100 miles long, dumping 80 pounds of ice along the way. They backtracked then to see what the clouds had done. Next, they did two mass droppings of 50 pounds, each into one large cumulus top, and orbited the cloud to see any changes.
Well, won't the ice go through the top, through the clouds, or what?
They noticed that after the first run, the cloud deck below began to break up. After the second test, the cloud top continued to grow. Satisfied with their effort, the airplanes returned to base. And the disaster struck. Right. Scientists were eager to examine the storm the following day. However, when they flew to the predicted storm location, they had trouble locating the eye. And after some hunting around, they found 100 west of where they expected it to be. To their astonishment, the hurricane had made a 135-degree left turn.
See that, and they see knowing that they're see that's the thing, knowing that the technology is like that, and that's what makes it a weapon. They you know that they can make it go different directions or whatever direction they want it to go. That's dangerous. Ooh, right. Oh shit. All right, so let me go on to the rest of this real quick because I want to see.
Water. Thus, seating near the eye wall could. The scientists were eager to examine the storm the following day. However, when they flew to the predicted storm location, they had trouble locating the eye. And after some hunting around, they found that the hurricane center was nearly 100 miles west of where they expected it to be. To their astonishment, the hurricane had made a 135-degree left turn and was now moving due west. And on top of that, it was strengthening. That is, after seeding the storm, it suddenly turned, got stronger, and headed for land. NOAA writes, by the afternoon of the 15th, Hurricane King struck Savannah, Georgia. One person died in the storm surge, and $2 million in damage was done to Georgia and South Carolina. Whether the storm was affected by the 180 pounds of dry ice wasn't clear and certainly not proven, but NOAA writes, the public's enthusiasm for weather modification slackened. In an era when many science fiction movies featured mad scientists threatening world destruction or worse, their hubris, this event seemed to fit the trope. For many years after, no scientist dared mention weather modification and hurricane in the same sentence. The Hurricane Research Division said simply, embarrassment at the time left a legacy that had an adverse effect upon political and legal arrangements for later hurricane modification efforts. But like a hurricane, the idea of hurricane modification did not easily dissipate. Further destructive hurricanes, as well as the desire to better predict the storms, would give rise to a new project. By 1961, enough had been learned about hurricanes to produce a workable theory. The Hurricane Research Division of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration explains. The working hypothesis was that the area around the eye wall of a hurricane was either inertially unstable or nearly so, and that the clouds there contained abundant supercooled water. Thus, seating near the eye wall could trigger inertial instability and cause outward migration of the eye wall, leading to reduction in the maximum wind through conservation of angular momentum. The website of Charlotte's Spectrum News 1 explains the larger eye wall would help reduce the storm's winds by reducing the pressure gradient of the system. The hope was to do this before a system made landfall to reduce the potential damage of the storm. Rather than use dry ice, in 1948, another GE researcher named Bernard Vonnegut determined that silver iodide smokes, which are more similar to ice crystals, were more effective at seeding than dry ice. The idea was first tested using Weather Bureau planes on Hurricane Esther in 1961. NOAA explains that the Bureau kept things on the down low until they were sure that the storm wasn't going to pull a swerve on them. The results showed promise. After the seeding, the storm stopped deepening, and this success was enough to take another step. The Hurricane Research Division writes, the encouraging results from Hurricane Esther led to formal establishment of Storm Fury, a joint project of the United States Navy and the Department of Commerce in 1962. To avoid the 1948 disaster, Marquardt writes, all seeding with Storm Fury was carried out only if a storm met a long list of criteria, including a less than 10% chance of hitting land within a day of seeding, even if the storm made a sudden turn like the October 13th hurricane. The criteria proved daunting. Between 1963 and 1971, Operation Storm Fury only successfully seeded 4 hurricanes. While there was no disaster like what happened with Hurricane King, there was a close call. In 1965, project directors chose Hurricane Betsy as a good target. However, historian Carl Whipple explained in his 1982 book, Storms, Betsy turned the wrong direction. Swerving from northwest to west, the storm seemed to be taking a dead aim for the Bahamas. Storm Fury officials decided that they could not risk seeding, and they canceled the effort. But in an oversight the project overseers would have reason to rue, someone forgot to notify all the press, and a few newspapers reported that the cloud seeding was actually underway. Betsy missed the Bahamas, but careened into Florida, causing 81 fatalities and more than $1 billion in damage. Whipple writes, the repercussions this time stirred the ire of Congress. It took 2 months for Storm Fury officials to convince Congress that cloud seeding was blameless for Betsy's abrupt change of course.
People when the proof is in the pudding.
In perhaps the strangest criticism, the Salt Lake City Weekly reported, the project
and then you
raised
go
the
back and convince somebody. And this government, look, they don't. The Constitution is null and void, man. At this point, man, these people don't care. These people are ruthless. Until we get together and come, you know what I'm saying, come back and get back to the Republic and get back to these motherfuckers, get back at them, they're going to keep doing this to us, man. They're going to keep taking advantage of us straight up. Like, seriously. You know, what y'all think? You know, I don't know, man. I just think this is kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? I think, you know, I think a lot of this is weird. You know, it's not a coincidence. It's definitely not a coincidence, right? And then some of these same states that the strike, a lot of these same states that the strike's going on, the damn hurricane hit. Wow, what a coincidence, right? Oh, you're going to see a lot of things this month. And remember, don't forget about November. Go on to November, right? And look at this actor right here. One of the biggest actors, CIA agents right here, Fidel Castro. A lot of these people are working for the United States. A lot of these foreign fake dictators. The real dictator is the United States government. That's the dictator, the real dictator. And the fake dictators is who they say is the dictators, right? And they're always foreign, right? Oh, they don't never call out no domestic dictator, right? And people call them Trump Nazis and all that. You know, I might not agree with Trump. You know what I'm saying? I'm not no Trump fan. I'm not voting for him. But at the same time, that's mad disingenuous calling him a Nazi, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you call him a Nazi because he actually had policy to do something for black people. You know what I'm saying? Interesting. Let's go.
Ire of Fidel Castro, who accused the United States of trying essentially to weaponize the weather. Admittedly, there's something a bit Strangelovian in the image of Navy fighter bombers dumping chemical canisters into a hurricane. Couple that with an amped-up name like Storm Fury, and it all seemed a little nuts. The last attempt of Operation Storm Fury was Hurricane Ginger in 1971. While there initially seemed some promising results, NOAA notes that further research found that the positive results inferred from the seeding experiments in the 1960s stemmed from inability to discriminate between the expected results of human intervention and the natural behavior of hurricanes.
What is he doing in Canada, Doc Boss? He a dictator.
Finally, in 1983, more than a decade after the last attempt to seed a hurricane, the project was canceled. The Hurricane Research Division writes, by mid-1983, none of the conditions for development of an operational hurricane amelioration strategy could be met, and Project Storm Fury ended. The conclusion? The hypothesis was flawed. The Hurricane Research Division writes that Storm Fury had two fatal flaws. It was neither microphysically nor statistically feasible. First, research finally showed that hurricanes have too little supercooled water and too much natural ice for seeding to have any notable effect on them. Meanwhile, the effects of seeding are often indistinguishable from the natural intensity changes.
Damn it, sorry about that. We're gonna play this, we're gonna play that, we're gonna play this, that. Use 1976 under the Copyright Act allows to record this video for commentary and information.
During a pivotal time in the Vietnam War, the United States used state-of-the-art technology in a secret attempt to change the weather. Operation Popeye is believed to be the first time in history that a government tried to manipulate the weather for a military advantage. 1954, the division of Vietnam. North Vietnam believed in the unification of the country under communist rule, while the South, supported by the U.S., was mostly anti-communist. Several years after the developed left South Vietnam and its allies at a disadvantage. American efforts to bomb the trail were unsuccessful. So in 1967, the United States secretly launched Operation Popeye, a daring attempt to prolong the monsoon season by making it rain more than usual. For 5 years, the U.S. Air Force flew more than 2,000 secret missions during the rainy seasons. Planes released silver iodide into the clouds to increase the amount of precipitation produced, a technique known as cloud seeding. The U.S. government hoped that increased rainfall would slow the North's movement and provide cover for U.S. military advances. But in 1972, journalist Seymour M. Hersh exposed Operation Popeye to the public. Within a few days, the United States stopped the operation. However, the public was still angered by the government's attempt to alter the weather. As a result of Operation Popeye, the U.S. joined other nations in signing the Environmental Modification Treaty in 1977, pledging never to use the weather as a weapon again. In the end, the true impact of Operation Popeye remains unknown, as no environmental data was ever collected.
Why not? What's the point
What can be learned from Operation Popeye about changing the natural environment?
What was the point of doing it if you don't collect no data? You know what I'm saying? To use it as a weapon? I don't know. That's weird. They don't, man, we're expendable, man.
For a military advantage.
Wow. Interesting. All right, so let me see. All right, let me play another one. And another one. Another one. Let me see now. We ain't doing all that. So let's do a little bit of this one. Let's see about this one and that one.
All across California, families are being pushed out by ridiculous housing costs. Prop 5 changes the math. 5 gives local voters power to approve new housing.
But see, shouldn't it be like that already? So that lets you know we don't have no power, right? Why do I gotta vote on something to give me say so? Man, that don't even make no sense.
As the Vietnam War persisted into the late 1960s, the U.S. population grew increasingly weary of the conflict, leading the military to seek new ways to quell the relentless North Vietnamese army. For years, the U.S. Air Force had been bombing the vast Ho Chi Minh Trail to disrupt the enemy's supply lines, but it was to no avail. From conventional bombs to napalm and Agent Orange, the NBA kept fighting. With limited options remaining, the military turned to what seemed impossible, playing God by deliberately manipulating the weather. This led to the initiation of Operation Popeye, the only known weather warfare operation in history. The U.S. sought to destroy the NBA roads and tunnels by prolonging the monsoon season and disrupting supply lines through cloud seeding, a weather modification technique to create rain. The top-secret program was launched in 1967 as a last effort to change the tide of the war in America's favor. As long as the operation remained clandestine, both the CIA and the military were confident in Popeye's success. Trouble in Vietnam. After World War II came to an end in 1945, the French returned to Vietnam once the Japanese retreat was complete. Despite the population's fervent desire to break free from European dominion, France adamantly refused to let go of its control. What followed were 10 years of guerrilla warfare between the French army, the French Foreign Legion, and the Viet Minh. The national was raised by Ho Chi Minh to achieve independence. In the end, France was defeated by the rebel guerrilla, and Vietnam was split between the Communist North and the Democratic South, supported by the United States. Starting from 1955, the United States significantly escalated its military and economic aid to bolster the Army of the Republic of Vietnam, or ARVN, transforming it into a formidable fighting force capable of impeding the Viet Minh, later known as the Viet Cong. Nevertheless, the troops led by Ho Chi Minh were seasoned warriors who possessed expert knowledge of combat techniques and adeptness in blending in with the dense jungle. Furthermore, the creation of the Ho Chi Minh Trail, an impressive logistics network that originated in North Vietnam, crossed Laos, and went into the south, made combat operations more difficult for the ARVN. This network of roads, tunnels, and caves comprised underground hospitals, barracks, and supply depots hidden from enemy eyes. Tens of thousands of supplies were ferried to the Viet Cong to fight the ARVN at any time and in any location. Despite the escalating bombing campaign of the U.S. Air Force and Navy against the Viet Cong and the newly created North Vietnamese Army, their efforts proved futile in halting the influx of enemy supplies and personnel. Cloud seeding. Utilizing various destructive methods, such as conventional bombs, Agent Orange, and napalm airstrikes, the relentless operation of the Ho Chi Minh Trail persisted, eventually reaching a length of over 1,000 miles. However, American intelligence soon recognized that nature itself posed a formidable adversary to the Ho Chi Minh Trail. During the monsoon season, torrential rain turned the sophisticated roads and underground tunnels into treacherous quagmires, making it difficult for men, animals, and vehicles to ferry supplies. In response, the Department of Defense and the CIA devised a strategy to exploit this vulnerability by manipulating the weather and extending the monsoon seasons, typically spanning from April to October, to further degrade the trail's conditions. To achieve this, the military resorted to cloud seeding, a form of weather modification that involves the introduction of certain substances into clouds to encourage precipitation. The method enhances rainfall or snowfall in areas experiencing drought or water scarcity. To do so, aircraft or ground generators disperse small particles of silver iodide into clouds. The particles act as nuclei, where water droplets form and grow, thereby precipitating or protracting rainfall. The first experiments were conducted by Vincent Schaefer and Irving Langmuir in 1946. Schaefer was a researcher at General Electric when he discovered that he could create snow by adding dry ice to a cloud chamber. Langmuir, a Nobel Prize-winning chemist and physicist, convinced Schaefer to seed actual clouds. Their effort proved successful when they induced precipitation from a cloud hovering over Mount Greylock in Massachusetts.
Wow. Sorry about that.
Eternal rain. By 1963, the U.S. had dispatched more than 10,000 Special Forces soldiers, or Green Berets, to train the ARVN and conduct reconnaissance missions. While the military struggle continued, the Department of Defense and the CIA began testing cloud seeding over the skies of Vietnam. Under President Ngo Dinh Diem, the South's government was going through political turmoil with ongoing disputes between the Catholic minority and the Buddhists. During an interview with Seymour M. Hersh from the New York Times, A former CIA agent recalled using cloud seeding over Hue City. Quote, "We first used that stuff in about August 1963, when the Diem regime was having all that trouble with the Buddhists. They would just stand around during demonstrations when the police threw tear gas at them. But we noticed that when the rains came, they wouldn't stay on." The former agent explained that the CIA, quote, "got an Air America Beechcraft and had it rigged up with silver iodide. There was another demonstration and we seeded the area. It rained." Following this successful test, the CIA repeated the process during the summer of 1964 over Saigon. The agency kept calling the shots until 1966, when President Lyndon B. Johnson escalated the war in Vietnam. As such, the Office of Defense Research and Engineering initiated a pilot program to test the feasibility of weather modification techniques, which took place in the Lao Panhandle. Over 56 seedings were conducted, and over 90...
Like, what I mean, were they doing this to try to... See, I think they try to make it seem like they were doing this to try to fight them, and combat them. But they did this to have that technology to use it whenever they want, you know? Yeah, you know what? You're right. You're right. Yeah, you gotta watch out for that bottle of water, right? Exactly.
90% of the clouds reacted positively. It was soon decided that cloud seeding to induce additional rain over infiltration routes into Laos could be used as a tactical weapon. Operation Popeye. The massive weather operation over Vietnam and Laos was dubbed Operation Popeye. In a memorandum sent in January 1967 from Deputy Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs Foy D. Kohler to Secretary of State Dean Rusk, it was stated that, quote, "The objective is to inhibit overland vehicular movements and to reinforce the bottlenecks already created at stream crossings by the bombing of bridges and ferry installations. With respect to Laos, the objective is to extend rainfall through the dry season, keeping the ground as near the saturation point as possible and obstructing traffic that normally..."
That's it. You know, you're doing this against your opponent. You can't beat your opponent, obviously, fair and square. So you got to do some... That's crazy, man. And everybody tell, "Oh, America's so patriotic, you know, the land of the free, you know, patriotic America. You know, our best country, this and that, we're this and that, man. We can beat anybody, the most powerful army." Okay. Why we got to do all this bullshit then? We really couldn't beat them, huh? We really had to resort to... that's not even cheating, man. I don't even know what to call that. Oh, yeah. You know they will. That's some sore loser shit.
Ford streams during the low water period. According to the Department of Defense, the program was to increase rainfall sufficiently in carefully selected areas to deny the enemy the use of roads by softening road surfaces, causing landslides along roadways, washing out river crossings, and maintaining saturated soil conditions beyond the average period. Kohler also considered that cloud seeding was more ethical than employing conventional bombs, napalm, or Agent Orange, stating, quote, "With respect to North Vietnam, we believe that as an interdiction measure, Popeye operations would be less harmful to the population and area affected than bombing." The operational phase of Project Popeye commenced on March 20th, 1967. The program involved the deployment of 3 Lockheed Hercules WC-130s and 2 McDonnell Douglas RF-4C Phantom aircraft, along with their respective crews and maintenance personnel stationed in Thailand. From that date onward, 2 WC-130s and 1 RF-4C aircraft carried out cloud seeding missions until July 1972, spanning over a period of 5 years. The program incurred an annual cost of approximately $3.6 million, funded by U.S. taxpayers.
Of course.
In total,
you see how we... Don't you think that we should be able to pick and choose what we want to pay taxes on? And they talk about people are what's that word? People are dictators. But we can't pick and choose what we want to pay our taxes on. But people in other countries are dictators, though. They're talking about this is the land of the freedom. I think this is the land of the freedom for people that are coming here, like illegals and stuff like that. I think this is the land of the freedom for people like that, not for us or the super elite. That is mad underhanded. Right. Oh no.
2,602 flights were conducted, utilizing over 47,409 seating units. Even so, the aircraft were not dedicated exclusively to Popeye, and also conducted tactical weather reconnaissance and tropical typhoon reconnaissance support missions.
Here's what it's like to go to school for firearms technology and gunsmithing. Sonoran Desert Institute's online programs cover troubleshooting, firearm operations, shooting sports management, and more, with hands-on projects and lab materials shipped to you. Visit sdi.edu.
Weather warfare.
You got to pay for everything. Anytime you get a trade, you always got to pay for it. I think that's weird. That shit, everything. This shit should be free, you know. But see, they know that more people would have degrees. More people would be people would be a little bit more successful. People would have that much money in their pocket and have that much more credentials. You know what I'm saying? They need more worker bees. People that don't have, you know what I'm saying, that work regular schmegler, you know what I mean, 9 to 5s. That's what they need more of. Or laborers.
The cloud seeding operation conducted under Project Popeye was shrouded in the utmost secrecy. Only the top brass of the military, the Department of Defense,
and they keep it. Why you keep it secret? If you're not doing nothing wrong.
and the CIA knew about the nature of the operation. Besides the crews involved, no one knew the United States was manipulating the weather for its own convenience. Adopting the slogan, "Make mud, not war," aircraft from the 54th Weather Reconnaissance Squadron embarked on missions to Laos and South Vietnam, seeding clouds during the monsoon seasons. As the war dragged on, the top-secret operation expanded into portions of North Vietnam, where the Ho Chi Minh Trail originated. The Lockheed WC-130 and Douglas F-4 Phantom aircraft flew with camouflage colors and no unit identifiers as part of the secret nature of their missions. Besides the targeted areas linked to the trail, other locations were also subjected to increased rain. According to several journalists, some clouds were treated with a chemical that produced acidic rainfall capable of fouling NBA radar equipment for surface-to-air missiles, or SAMs. In addition, Popeye was employed to provide rain and cloud cover for MACD-SOG and South Vietnamese commando units in North Vietnam, tailoring rain patterns to aid U.S. bombing missions and spoiling NBA attacks and raids in South Vietnam. Pandora's Box. The veil of secrecy surrounding Operation Popeye persisted throughout Nixon's presidency. Like Johnson's administration, the new government rejected any suspicious weather operations and even lied to any inquiries from Congress.
Wow.
In 1971, reporter Jack Anderson revealed the U.S. was weaponizing the weather, and by the time the Pentagon Papers were leaked, there was no way to hide the truth. In July 1972, Seymour M. Hersh published the article, "Rainmaking is Used as a Weapon by the U.S.," making headlines nationwide. Project Popeye was canceled days later. However, Democratic Party Senator Claiborne Pell and Republican Senator Clifford Case demanded the declassification of Popeye's true nature by the Senate Committee on Foreign
Both of them. They went bipartisan on that. Let's be bipartisan and covering this shit up.
Relations. Lieutenant Harry E. Soyster was compelled to testify, leading to public outrage directed at the DoD, the CIA, and President Nixon. Popeye, coupled with the Watergate scandal, ultimately contributed to the downfall of Nixon's presidency. The public outcry, along with peacetime efforts and protests, prompted legislators to develop an international treaty that would prohibit weather warfare. Thank you for watching Dark Skies. Remember to hit the like button before you go. And for more exciting content about history's most remarkable aircraft, their missions, and beyond, subscribe to this and all the Dark Documentaries channels. We publish regularly, so stay tuned for more.
Another one, Harp.
Wouldn't it be cool to recognize the...
All right, Operation Harp. Let's do a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Was it high altitude
radio pension?
I always forget the acronym.
Yeah.
There are people who are sure that the government is stockpiling aliens and controlling everything about anything we would ever think about. And they clearly have never worked for the government because the level of incompetence of the government and inefficiency knows no bounds.
But
for starters,
it's true that you could manipulate the weather like they did during the Olympics in China. Like, it's not that you can't manipulate the weather, it's that whether you would really have any serious control.
Yeah, a lot of the weather, weather happens in many places. So it comes about from the heat balance, from the energy coming from the sun, what it reflects off of, what it gets absorbed by, what the upcurrents do, what the downdrafts do, what the rotation of the earth is doing. All of this factors in. And so I have not been convinced by any of the reports to suggest that experiments in the upper atmosphere, physics experiments, are having any effect on our weather whatsoever.
Right.
And it would be tragic if we wanted to say, oh, that's why it's getting hotter in the world, okay? Because there's some experiment happening. That would be tragic because we would be missing the 900-pound gorilla in the room.
Right. And then, but can you
the carbon dioxide gorilla? Yes.
Yes, the 900-pound carbon dioxide gorilla. All right. Here's another question.
By the way, I don't think gorillas can weigh 900 pounds.
Is that true?
Yeah. The biggest one I've seen was not 900 pounds. 500 pounds. Yeah. Not 900. So 900 pounds.
Like a pumpkin. I bet there's like a pumpkin that someone has made with a gorilla, like a 500 gorilla holding a 400-pound pumpkin.
That would work. Yes.
That would be in the room, which would also should attract attention.
So amazing, it looks great.
Okay, I need to go. I need to take my daughter to school.
Okay. Hey, but I want you to focus on growth and praise. That'll work.
Hold on. My bad. Let me just play this real quick. Oreo research program.
Controlling our minds, man. Now, I'm sure many of you have heard the plethora of conspiracy theories about her. But let's get some of that, that whatchamacallit, that truth stuff. Let's get some of that truth stuff in here so we can talk about it. But first, when we're talking about her, I think it's a good idea that we protect our brains. So you know what? Here's a tinfoil hat.
Hold up. I think this dude's gonna talk some other shit right now.
Is what has to be one of the world's Kona, Alaska, lays what has to be one of the world's largest antenna arrays. HAARP, otherwise known as the High Frequency Auroral Research Program, has been shrouded in mystery and conspiracy theories since construction work started in the mid-90s. Given the nature of the facility, there has been many claims by conspiracy theory groups claiming that HAARP was designed to control the weather, weaponized to cause disruption and destruction to unaware targets. HAARP has also been blamed for causing the 7-magnitude Haitian earthquake of 2010, which was reported to have killed more than 220,000 people. However, for the record, the Haitian quake was caused by slippage of a previously unmapped fault along the border of the Caribbean and the North American tectonic plates. Other natural disasters such as the 2011 earthquake and tsunami in Japan, the Moore, Oklahoma tornado of 2013, and a landslide in 2006 in the Philippines have all been reported as a result of HAARP use. One of the most ludicrous conspiracy theories is that HAARP was designed to control people's minds, along with altering the very fabric of reality. So what sparked all these conspiracy theories regarding HAARP? Maybe it was the experiment scientists were performing back in March 2004. Using a 1 megawatt generator, scientists sent radio pulses every 7.5 seconds towards the ionosphere from the HAARP mega array of antennas, which covered acres of land. These radio waves traveled 30 miles up, hitting the ionosphere, which resulted in a modest neon light show visible from the ground. Natural aurora happens when electrons from a cloud of hot gas, known as plasma, rains down from space and excites the molecules in the ionosphere. However, HAARP was able to create a similar experience by sending powerful radio waves from the ground. Maybe this is why conspiracy theories have their concerns and have created these bizarre and ludicrous theories. However, as documented in the Feb 2005 edition of the journal Nature, this experiment was to improve understanding of the aurora and help explain how the ionosphere adversely affects radio communications. After this experiment took place, the scientists were left with a tantalizing possibility that such radio-fueled emissions could one day form the basis of a technology which can be used for urban lighting and even celestial advertising. So the questions are, what is HAARP? Why was it made? How does it work? And who owns HAARP? Now, HAARP was owned by the US Air Force, but since 2015, it was handed over to the University of Alaska Fairbanks. Now, technically, HAARP is the world's most capable, high-power, high-frequency transmitter for study of the ionosphere. The principal instrument is the Ionospheric Research Instrument, the IRI. This consists of 180 HF cross dipole antennas spread across 33 acres. The IRI is capable of radiating a massive 3.6 megawatts into the upper atmosphere and ionosphere. The transmit-capable frequencies are selectable in the range of 2.7 MHz up to 10 MHz. Since the antennas form a sophisticated phased array, the transmitted beam can take many shapes over a wide angle range. This also results in multiple beams being formed. As well as HAARP using active antennas and transmitters, is also capable of passive reception, which is used to only monitor or listen. This must be the best receiving station on the planet. HAARP radio waves heat electrons in the ionosphere, anywhere from 60 to 80 kilometers altitude, but this can also extend as far as 500 kilometers altitude. Now, this creates small perturbations that are similar to the kinds of interactions that happen in nature. With HAARP, scientists can control when and where these perturbations occur, so they can measure their effects. Now, with all that said, what do you think about HAARP? Have you ever heard it on air transmitting? Well, if you haven't, here's a clip of what it sounds like. Now, here's one final thought, which I only discovered while doing my research for HAARP. A user on the internet has created a map which apparently shows more HAARP stations around the world, located in many countries. Now, here's one, which is apparently in the UK. Let me know down in the comments if you've ever heard HAARP while they were transmitting. Now, I believe they performed some experiments only a couple of months ago. Until the next video, stay safe.
Yo, that's crazy. All right, Smith. So we know these people be doing what they be doing with this weather, man. So it ain't a coincidence. So we're gonna go to Bank of America, man. We're gonna go to Bank of America, man. Bank of America scandalous, man. Look at the outage.
Thousands of Bank of America customers. Many are reporting having trouble accessing their bank accounts online. Some who could access their accounts were startled to see zero balances. It's not clear how widespread the outage is, but reports about a problem spiked around 9:45 this morning on Down Detector, which collects data on outages. Bank of America has not commented on the problem.
Of course not, and you don't comment. Just like
an outage is effective.
Just like the president, the vice president ain't commenting on the strike or on the hurricane, right? Bank of America scandalous. I got another one too. But see, this right here, Could be the digital ID, man, digital social security. That's what they want, or it could be the introduction of the CBDC. That's the central bank digital currency. So they're talking about $50 bills aren't going to be. Bills won't be allowed. Watch. Look what they're trying to do, man. Watch. Look what they're trying to do. Wait, let me play this real quick. And let me play.
And dive into the facts. Now, according to the Federal Reserve, the current $5, $20, $50, and $100 bills will continue to be valid and accepted throughout the country. That means you don't have to worry about your stash of cash suddenly becoming useless. But there are changes coming that you need to be aware of. Starting this month, some major retailers like Walmart, Target, and Dollar Tree might get a bit stricter about accepting damaged or mutilated bills. Why? Well, the main goal is to improve financial security and reduce the chances of counterfeiting. Damaged banknotes are tougher to verify, which makes it easier.
So all of a sudden they worry about this. All of a sudden,
bills into
in 2024, they're trying to take away the money, man. Because during COVID, it was the same thing. They was talking about it was a shortage on change. How the fuck is it going to be a shortage on change? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I knew this was coming too.
In line with these efforts, the Federal Reserve is also planning to modernize the design of our currency over the next couple of decades. The new $50 bill is expected to roll out in 2028, followed by the $20 bill in 2030. The $5 bill will get its update between 2032 and 2035, with the $100 bill receiving its redesign between 2034 and 2038. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly counts as a damaged bill? We're talking about banknotes with tears, cut corners, or those that have been through the wash a few times. These bills might not be accepted at some stores, but don't worry, they won't lose their value. Banks and ATMs will still accept them as long as they meet authenticity requirements and enough of the bill is intact. So, what should you do if you have damaged bills? The best course of action is to take them to a bank where they can be exchanged for new ones. It's a simple step that can save you from potential hassle at the checkout counter. Remember, these changes are all about keeping our money safe and secure. By being aware and prepared, you can navigate these new rules with ease. All right, that's all for today. If you found this
Never mind. I don't know what that. Let me see. So okay, my bad. Let me go into this these lithium mines in North Carolina. Yeah, so that's another thing too with this hurricane. Yeah, yep. Bank of America, yep. I think
Vermont Lithium is one step closer to making its Gaston County mining operation a reality. The company says
So I think what it is, they're trying to clear a lot of people out of that part of that land and stuff like that, and that part of those parts of North Carolina to build these mines. You see what I'm saying? Whether they'd use the what's name to do it, I don't know, the hurricane, but at the same time, I just find it like it's very coincidental that all this is going down at the same time. And then some of these places are in the same or the same states that the damn strike is going down in. I just think, you know, you got to just be mindful, man, on stuff.
Carolina has approved its mining permit, but the biggest hurdle to get the project over the finish line could still be on the horizon. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards joins us now, and Destiny neighbors say they have some real concerns.
Yeah, Piedmont Lithium is promising hundreds of jobs and billions of dollars in economic impact, but there are people living in Gaston County who are worried about the mine's impact on the environment. Now, people living here in Cherryville have been fighting against plans for a lithium mine for years. They say those pushing back are part of a silent majority, afraid to say anything publicly because of the money Piedmont Lithium brings into the town. The company's CEO, Keith Phillips, released a statement yesterday saying it plans to develop Carolina Lithium as one of the lowest cost, most sustainable.
So this is kind of be like a Maui thing all over again. You know what I'm saying? Like it kind of could be kind of like that. You know, you want to, but if they do buy people out, man, I hope people sell for super high, man. I would quadruple what my shit is worth. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but not even sell. I just think it's good. You know, it's just like, I see why all these movies are centered around a protagonist, an antagonist, and all this shit, and good and bad, and all this. You know, the good takes down the bad. But see, I think that's just in the movies. Are we gonna really take down the bad? Are we really gonna take down the evil? Are we the good people, the regular everyday? You know, I don't know.
Sustainable lithium hydroxide operations in the world, and as a critical part of the American electric vehicle supply chain. There are several steps left before the mine can begin operation, but some people worry it's a done deal for Gaston County.
Environmentally, I just don't feel like it's good for us. They've done so much investment now that I think that it's going to.
The government's going to take the land, exactly.
And Piedmont Lithium tells us there are still other permits left to obtain, and it also needs to file a rezoning petition still with Gaston County before the mine can officially open. Live in Cherryville, I'm Destiny Richards, WCNC Charlotte.
Let me play this real quick and then I'm going to support you. We're going to the strike right now.
Your favorite school and earn chances to win hundreds of prizes.
In the strike, you see, this is over lithium. I mean, you know, we got the lithium thing, you know, that's like the kind of, what's that shit called? That movie, what's the movie? What's that shit movie? Avatar, right? You know, they got resources, they take the land. It's the same kind of thing, man. You know, you still, you know, you take the resources or you build something that you can make into a resource and you take, I don't know, man. That lithium, those batteries ain't no good anyway. But then why depend on China and all this, and then for us to try to make them ourselves? It's just everything's backwards, man.
There is a surging demand for lithium, a metal used in everything from phones to electric cars to pharmaceuticals. Now, Charlotte-based Albemarle Corporation, the country's largest producer of lithium, is looking to extract it here in North Carolina. WRAL climate change reporter Liz McLaughlin visited the mine to show us how it's done.
This is what's called an open pit mine. We're about 30 miles west of Charlotte, and it's not new. It was operational until about the 80s. But as lithium demand has now grown, fueled by those electrification timelines from carbon cutting goals,
how long has lithium been out for, and how long has it been used to charge stuff for? You see what I'm saying? These motherfuckers be having the same technology for years, man. That's what's crazy about it.
It has become more economically viable.
Welcome to the mine. It's a lovely area. Cindy Estridge has walked more than 400 people through a former lithium mine in Kings Mountain that Albemarle Corporation hopes to reopen by 2026.
We get our community members down here just for them to be able to see it because, you know, we're right in the neighborhood. And for people to be able to come down, put their eyes on it, see what we're doing, that is the most important part of this tour.
The former mine filled with rainwater in the decades since it closed, with fish, plants, and other organisms now living in the 160-foot deep water, a pit that Albemarle plans to drain in the coming months. part of the company's ongoing feasibility assessments and community conversations ahead of applying for permits later this year.
The footprint of this mine is not going to change significantly. We are predominantly going to go deeper rather than wider.
The lithium here is stored in hard rock.
And spodumene is what contains the lithium.
Meaning it will take blasting, hauling, and high temperature processing to extract.
It's just important to remember to balance that really important objective of combating climate change with protecting ecosystems and public health in mining communities.
The International Energy Agency says the demand for lithium is expected to grow 40 times by 2040, with the increasing popularity of green technologies that use it.
And, this puts Kings Mountain in a position to play a significant role in the supply chain for lithium in the United States.
Reopening or developing mines like this one is part of an effort.
Global warming. Why couldn't that some of that heat? Why couldn't you turn some of that into energy? Or coldness or whatever the fuck. Well, why could you turn? That's a good point. That's a good point, Doc Boss. They be lying about it. Just don't believe the hype.
To help the U.S. become more resource independent. Right now, China accounts for 70% of lithium battery production globally.
Didn't I just say China? I just said that, right?
In Kings Mountain, I'm Liz McLaughlin, WRAL News.
And Albemarle isn't the only company with its eyes on Gaston County lithium. Belmont-based Piedmont Lithium is in the process of acquiring a state mining permit.
Look, they on it. They competing for. These people are just greedy, man. All right, so what else we going to, man? We going into the strike. Climate crisis. How is it climate when you trying to make you trying to make a material or something that you could use for energy? How is it? What does that any of that have to do with climate? These motherfuckers crazy. All right, so the strike, right? We're gonna play Papa Duck, a little bit of Papa Duck. Shout out Papa Duck. This strike has everything to do with the automation. The strike, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what, and I seen something with Papa Duck. I mean, before that, and then I seen Papa Duck's video. I'm like, oh, okay, that does make sense. I seen them somewhere they were saying, and plus they some of the workers don't like the fact of the automation, and I'm like, oh, and it was like one of some politician dude was like, oh, well, if we don't advance and we don't invest in automation, then our rivals and other countries are gonna, they're gonna be beating us and all. That's some bullshit. That's some mumbo jumbo manipulation bullshit. So let the motherfuckers do everything in automation. What the fuck are we already? I mean, I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of this stuff is outsourced to these countries. That's how you know it's bullshit what he was saying, because a lot of this stuff is already outsourced to these countries anyway. So what the fuck would it matter? We giving people fuck it all around the world. I say millions of dollars. We're paying people to do our jobs that we could do over here. We paying these foreigners to do it in other countries. This because don't believe none of these people say. It's about automation. Hell yeah, most of that's about automation. It's about money, but a lot of that's about automation because the workers don't want that. Some of the people don't want that. A lot of the people don't want no automation because they're gonna lose jobs. If it's automation, come on. This is how these people do. They manipulate you, right? And they'll tell you, technology, you got to get with technology, right? You're going to be left behind. And they tell you, oh, no, don't worry about it. It's just automation is going to help the job run smoother. It's going to help everything run smoother. It's going to help everything, run like how it should. And then, soon you're going to get used to it a little bit, and then they're going to start firing you on how it works. It's just that, I mean, you guys, people still fall for that trick. We all know that's how the government does. A lot of jobs are already gone. That's true. Watch, we'll get into it right now. I'm getting to Papa Duck. Papa Duck. Let me see. Let me play a little bit of it. I might go to Dear Mohammed, and I might go into
Italian sausage, bacon, and pepperoni.
Zach Hubbard.
For only $8.99. That's the lowest price in 3 meat pizzas. Right, Professor Amon-Ra?
Meat plus meat plus meat equals...
I told y'all the whole reason behind this strike. Didn't I tell y'all?
I'm a longshoreman for LA Long Beach. And LA is fighting against this right here. I'll tell you right now. See that? There's nobody there. Automation. I work at an automated dock. It's no joke. They're losing thousands of jobs. So you got all these machines. Look at all these machines right here. There's no people. They ain't paying no taxes. They ain't paying no money. This is what ILA is fighting about. This all used to be filled with top handlers, UTR drivers, clerks, all this yard. Look how big this yard is. And there ain't hardly any people on this thing. This is what they're fighting about. I work at an automated dock right here.
I didn't even see this part when I watched this video. Look at this, dude. And this is in LA. This is in Long Beach. That's a Mexican dude talking, by the way. So this is in Long Beach. That's sad, man. Look, I'm glad this guy took this video right here. Whoever this dude is, salute to this guy, this longshoreman worker for exposing these people, man. That's that damn, man. There needs to be a lot of black people, man. I hope my homie didn't get let go. I had a homie that's a longshoreman. I might have to hit him up. I might have to just fuck it. I might have to just, you know what I'm saying, just hit him up, man. I haven't talked to him in a while, you know. I might have to just say, you know, the hell with it and just call him, man. It's really, yeah, it's about automation. That's a damn shame. You see that? So what, I mean, and then, so imagine you go to school, you get to your degree, and then you working at some place for a while, or you know what I'm saying? Or you about to work, or you trying to find a job, or you just find something or whatever, and then that shit, they take that shit away from you.
Beach. Keep fighting, brothers. Keep fighting.
Boom, you just saw it for yourself. I told you it's automation. I told y'all, but we've been talking about this for
We've been talking about this for a minute.
long time. If you follow me on this channel, and probably other people too. Like, you got people that you got clubs that got DJs that ain't even in the club. They DJing in the club virtually, like they at home somewhere. They DJing for 4 or 5 clubs. I know this for a fact. But ain't nobody gonna go on strike for something like that. No disrespect. But something like this with them ports and them semi trucks going automation. Oh hell yeah, because that's a major necessity. Without them trucks and ports, a lot of us we ain't gonna get a lot of our daily necessities. I'm trying to tell y'all, bro. They bringing in artificial intelligence. Go look at Flippy 3. They on Flippy 3. Most people ain't never heard of Flippy 1 or 2. Flippy 3, what is that? That's when they got the automation, the arm that flipped the hamburgers and dropped the fries and all this, and then you got the people who bought them, the employers.
Crazy, bro.
They happy in a bit. Man, they ain't got to hire nobody. I told y'all, boy, robots don't call in sick. Robots don't need no healthcare plan, dental plan, none of that shit. But y'all got to be, we as people got to be crazy as fuck to let these people invent, take us out. Why do we? Oh my God! And then people talking about God this, God out of this. I gave you everything you need. We just don't have common sense, and we let these people create something that's going to demise us and take us out. Fucking robots. They've been showing us this in movies all this time. And as the ladder goes up, the people with a little bit more money, as it goes up, they don't give a fuck about you on the bottom, man. It's billions of people that ain't got nothing. You don't have no resources. Why you think the money allocates goes up and not down? We the one doing all the work. We the one holding the base of this shit up, but we have nothing. People going to work for 40, 50 years and still ain't got shit. It's a fucked up system. They print money, bro. They print money, bro. It's crazy, bro. We should be burning these motherfucking factories down by the dozens. You see what they doing to everything else? We don't eat food from God. We eat food from corporations. Let me say that again. We don't eat food from God. We eat food from corporations. Shit that they go in the lab and make and give us, so they have plenty of it and they can control what the shit do to us. How do you control millions and billions of people control their natural resources? Food, water, shelter.
New Mucinex Kickstart gives all-in-one and done relief with a morning jolt of instant cooling sensation. It's comeback season.
And how are the numbers looking?
We're landing at a strong 70 SPF.
But this whole strike is about automating this port. It's gonna leave a lot of people that's been working at these ports for years out of a job. And you must understand, as this shit closes in, you know the crime rate gonna go up, right? As these people create robots and artificial intelligence, they're gonna take over people's jobs, and people ain't got nowhere to go work, which don't make no fucking sense. That should tell you how demonic this shit is. How the fuck how is it that you vote for a president that's okay with creating something artificial that's gonna take you out, that's gonna take your children out, take your mama out? You know how many people right now getting fired because of artificial intelligence? See, it's here now. It was coming. Now it's here. And this is why you see this big strike. These companies don't care, bro. Why do we comply with this shit? We all need to strike. Them big got up paying for gas. You know why they got rid of moonshine? It want, you know, and you gotta think about this. Anything that's illegal can't be taxed. Not only that, anything they can't control is illegal. They got rid of moonshine because you was able to put it in your gas tank for gas. That's why.
Right.
That's why I say, bro, we living in one of the most stupidest times in the world for us to be so advanced with technology, and so we're not as advanced as a people as we think. Because the more advanced we do the more dumb shit. We pushing people out of their houses. They building shit like this. You see this shit like this? They just built. See this shit? Where is it? Right up. They building shit like that, bro. So that we can all live in one building. If they want to poison that one building, all I gotta do is run through the water lines. You know, fluoride is in our waters, mainly in the southwest sections. Because in the southwest, don't care where you at, that's the hood. Where the railroad tracks and Martin Luther King at, that's the hood.
You know, it'd always be
they redline us, bro. Why you think certain restaurants think I don't even eat if it's in a certain area? Because I understand what they do. Man, this shit crazy, dog. It be blowing my mind, bro. Like, us as people, bro, we need to start waking up and start coming together. I don't give a fuck what color you are, man. That's the most stupidest shit. Even though you got racist people, we'll deal with them accordingly. But as a whole, bro, man, this shit crazy, dog. We should be burning them factories down, talking about creating robots. They're gonna take over our jobs. And see, a lot of people don't give a fuck because they ain't knocked on their door yet. I say that all the time. But when they come knocking on your door, when your boss say, well, we got to have a mandatory meeting. When you go in that meeting, all they talk about is AI this, AI that. AI going to be training you on the phone. AI going to be doing this. You're going to have this, that, and then pretty soon, AI going to be learning from you, which that's how they do. It's not that you can't be intelligent and artificial at the same time. I told y'all that. They learn everything from us, from people. So as you teaching these motherfucking robots how to get on the phone, talk to all this stuff, pretty soon they're not going to need you.
We're not going to, I think most of these jobs are going to be gone. You know what I'm saying? I think most of you know what I mean? I keep it 100, man. I think most of these jobs are going to be gone soon. Because, I mean, automation that's in something like that, longshoreman work, that's good money. They're saving a lot of money. And they figure they can still get the goods and services out. But see, we're not going to, the politicians back, the politicians don't back the people, they back the corporation. You know what I'm saying? And the corporations are the ones doing this shit. You know what I mean? The corporations like the longshoreman, whatever associate, whatever the fuck, that's a corporation. You know what I mean? Everything's a corporation. You figure, even what's the name is a corporation? The municipalities, the police that's a corporation. All that shit's a corporation.
And this is what Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, was talking about when he said forced behaviors. The framework of how we be assisted from companies when it comes to customer service is going to be like this. It's going to be a robot. You're going to answer questions, and it's going to train us to, You know, give it 5 years. We'll be trained and forced to handle it that way. We're not talking to no people. Shit, we ain't talking to half no people right now. Facebook ain't got no.
I've got the plans for Halloween.
We're back! Heard you guys were having a party.
People you can just go and talk to. It's all automated. And y'all tell me y'all think God intended us to live like this? You got to be out your motherfucking mind. That what pissed me off about these religious people. I always want to use religion and hide behind religion so that they don't have to think. So they don't got to get out here on the front line and fight.
Crazy, man.
Like, that shit crazy to me, dog. God ain't made us out here to do this, man. You done lost your mind, man. These people losing their jobs and shit from a robot. From some greedy ass people at the top. Like, who gonna buy this shit if we don't got them? Man, it's crazy to me, bro. It's crazy. I mean crazy. But hey, y'all heard it for y'allself, man. This man telling y'all what's going on. And like I say, it ain't the stuff you know. What about the stuff you don't know?
Right.
All these physicians and doctors and shit that's going to school, coming back, all they doing is and told what to do. Doctors don't come to you how to check them. We got that no more. I told you, man. They don't teach you about nutrition. Everything is a nutrition and mineral deficiency. Why? Because ain't no fucking money in giving you the real cure. And some people been going to church their whole life and scared to take natural herbs, but they'd rather take what man gave them. I thought you believe in God. Shit crazy to me, man. I'm getting so fucking mad, dog. Like, I'm getting to that point, bro. Oh, bro, it's like, man, I can't take it no more, bro. I promise you, I can't take it no more. If you that dumb to allow a lot of this stuff to happen, you stay over there. You know what I'm saying? Get from around us that have some type of understanding, want to do a little something about this. But you just, I'm talking about the 100% dumbfounded people that just don't want to know, man, y'all get the hell on. I'd rather take a person with a little slight curiosity of what's going on, because I know eventually what's going to happen. Just a little, eventually, it's going to be all the way like this. Just your curiosity alone put you on the right path. But for the ones who just dumbfounded, don't care, don't want to care, they scared to care, get your ass out the way. Bye. If you don't do it for you, do it for your damn children, man. Do it for your damn grandkids, man. Because as you see, these people, right, don't give a damn. These people got cars that drive on their own like we can't drive. Of course you're going to have accidents and this and that, but how can you live in a world that you will allow people to create something that's going to push you out the way? Don't make sense to me, man. But like I tell y'all, as the ladder goes up, they benefit from this type of shit. That's why they don't care. The ones on the bottom, millions and billions of people, ain't got no money. People ain't trying to hear what you're trying to say. You can't liberate people because you don't have the money. Money is a tool. If us on the bottom put our money together, then we can really change some shit. But I'm telling y'all, bro, it's crazy. It's only gonna get crazy. Listen, man, it's your boy Papa Doc. I love y'all like I tell you all the time, man. In order for you to be found, you must first be lost. We'll holler at y'all on the next video, and please share this video.
Make sure y'all check out Papa Doc's channel, subscribe, check out his channel. Dope information. You know what I mean? Shout out to Papa Doc, salute. You know. Oh, something is definitely coming, man. That's true. That is so true. Facts. You ain't never lied about that. That's so true. Why is everybody going to Costco? Let's see what the hell they're talking about right here.
Wix gives you the freedom to tell your story.
This is
day 2 of the dock
panic buying.
workers strike, and no update on a deal. All
That does not look like a reporter, but whatever. Let's go.
reports from Maine to Texas are shut down as dock workers picket for better wages and protections against automation. The shutdown is sending.
Did she just say it?
Some people straight to the store to stock up just in case. Pix 11's Katie Corrado joins us from the picket line in Elizabeth with the latest. Katie.
Arity,
to go to Costco today, it felt like the day before Thanksgiving. The Costco in Union, New Jersey has sold out of toilet paper, and an employee told me that the line was wrapped around the building when the business opened this morning.
I've never seen it this busy on this particular day.
Bob Baker is among those stocking up at Costco in the event the port strike drags on for weeks.
I needed supplies. I had no choice. And of course, I'm like anybody else anticipating a long-range strike at the port. So that's why I'm got a trunk full of stuff.
The popular items in people's carts, cases of water, paper towels, and if you're lucky, toilet paper.
People were living with 7 or 8 in their carts, and there's none. And they said, come back tomorrow.
There are also concerns over medical devices and supplies, largely brought in from China. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says the impact should be limited, but is closely tracking inventory for any potential shortages. On Monday, Governor Kathy Hochul said she's ready to open the state stockpile if necessary. She also cautioned people against running to the store, saying it's just not necessary. Economists expect it'll likely be weeks before consumers feel the effects, beginning with imported perishable products like bananas and coffee.
I'm not going to go out and stock up the most.
This is how idiots, the everyday idiot thing. I'm not going to just stock up and shouldn't you be doing that anyway? Why does something have to make you feel you have to stock up? Couldn't you just do it anyway? Just in case? This is an old man talking this bullshit. Look how ignorant we are. You know what I'm saying? Ignorant.
Important items we're hopeful won't be disrupted too much. Toilet paper comes from the United States, I think.
Some people are buying a few extra things, but not much, saying it's too soon or too expensive to buy more than the.
It's trying to be funny because during that pandemic, people were damn near fighting in the stores over toilet paper because they're fucking stupid, See, they do this on the news and then they get you to react. No, my bad. The government does it, then the news pushes the propaganda out, and then they get you to react off of it, and then they give you the solution. Most of the time, my brother, they don't give you a solution. They want you to be chaotic. They want your people to get arrested. They want to, see the news feed and show how stupid people really are and how dumb people really are because they really sit back and laugh. And we tricking each other to see it. We're thinking our IQ is higher than it really is.
I just got a little bit extra, just be on the safe side. Just get what I need. I didn't go overboard. I didn't want to hog it.
We all went through the pandemic, and we know how to make, something out of nothing. So, no, I'm not really worried about it.
Most folks we talked to expressed a level of uncertainty. They just don't know what's going to happen, and for good reason. The last time that dock workers on the East Coast went on strike was 1977. Reporting live in.
My bad. That's when it was. My bad. That's my bad. That's when it was. The last strike, excuse me. The last strike was in 77, which is 47 years ago. The 47th problem of Euclid, Masonic.
Elizabeth, New Jersey. I'm Katie Corrado, Pix 11 News.
Masonic, 47 problems of Euclid, 47. What else was 47? What else did I point out was 47? 1947.
Cracking client support. It's like soccer. Up there, you can't see and know everything. But I'm connected to experts who I can chat with whenever I need to. But once it's decision.
Let's go to this other store. Panic buying. People are so burnt. Where that shit? I just seen something. Hold up.
Mr. President, would you intervene in
strike if they go on strike on Tuesday?
No.
Why not?
Why not? This dude. Look at this dude looking like Freddy Krueger. Man, look. Looking like the dude that played Freddy Krueger and shit. Look. Looking like the dude that was Hot Shots. Remember Leslie Nielsen, older brother looking at. Look. Why would you not intervene? You know what's the law? Damn. Hold up. Let me look it up. So basically, he could implement a law. I forgot what the law is called, which would make a cooling off period, which would still make it to where the workers can still work. Would it be a cooling off period for the strike, right? Or for the negotiation? That's how that works. So he could come in if he wanted to. He could come in and intervene if he wanted to, just to let y'all know. But see, people, we don't know nothing. We're not informed like that. You know what I'm saying? Because the mainstream media basically what's the names? It basically sets the tone for everything. Why would you not see this motherfucker don't give a fuck? He looked like Freddy Krueger, bro. He looked like straight up. You know what I mean? Don't he look like Freddy Krueger? You know what I mean? Look, this dude does not care about nothing. He about to be out of office. He fucking probably wearing the pins right about now. You know what I mean? You know, the thing is, Kamala Kabami might win. You know what I'm saying? But I can see a Democrat that would mess up the order. It has to be Democrat, Republican. It has to go in that way. So, and I hope she don't win. But this dude is full of shit. You know what I'm saying? He don't care. It's just, how is this a leader? How are you the leader, so-called, of America, United States, and you're not going to stop something that it could impact the economy? Wes Craven, you know what I mean? You're not going to stop something that could that could cripple the economy until next year, right? You're not going to stop that, right? That motherfucker look like a bat. You know what I'm saying? Wombat looking at this motherfucker, man. You know what a wombat looks like? That's what he looked like. You know what I'm saying? Oh, harpy eagle looking ass. Vulture.
Because it's collective bargaining. I don't believe in tap bargaining.
Oh man, fuck that. Collective bargaining agreement. I don't. Oh, just because they have an agreement, just because they're a contract. Everything is about a contract. That's why he said that collective bargaining agreement, aka IEI, a contract. That's what all these people. That's the only thing these people respect is contract. That's the only thing that is set and supposed to be law for America, right? Is contract. Everything is contract, written and non-written, verbal and non-verbal. Contract. Everything contract. The birth certificate contract. Everything contract. Social Security contract. Everything. This dude. I mean, if people still vote Democrat, I can't. I don't know what to say, man. I don't know. Buzzard, huh? That motherfucker look like, man. If people still vote Democrat, I don't know what to tell you, man. I just like these motherfuckers fuck up the economy, and you still okay with it? Grocery prices are through the fucking roof. Housing in California is fucking in anywhere is the most they've seen in how many years? 50, 60 years. So it's funny, they're setting motherfuckers back to like 60, 70 years, but the price of a dollar don't go as far as it did 67 years ago. So it's interesting. So it's the opposite. Like these motherfuckers fucked us over. Some clever motherfuckers, man. Very clever. Geniuses if you think about it. But evil. That's the thing. You know what? What's crazy about this? They could still have stuff going through the port, certain things going and certain operational things going through those ports, even if they are on strike. So is this hype? A lot of stuff still, certain things won't be getting done, but just like you've seen, dude was up there and it was a gang of people, machines doing all the work. So will they really need some of these people? Will they bring back some of these people and let and or will they make it to where it's just fucked up? It's kind of like the city workers in New York. A lot of the city workers in New York, they're not working right now. Them layoffs from them COVID days, man. I would sue the fuck out that state, city, all that. Borough president, all that. All right, so hold up. All this damn fast food, man. Fast food.
Day 2 of the port
Just don't give you a lot of. I don't give you a lot of meat, man.
strike, as more than 40,000 dock workers are asking for more pay and protections against
A lot of people.
automation.
The union has support from President Biden, and now the truckers who would also haul these ships' cargo on the road are also throwing their support. The truck drivers could also.
Why are you not going to step in? Why is President Biden not stepping in?
Also be out of a job once final deliveries are made from what's already at the docks. But they were seen honking their horns as they drove past picket lines today. And while we still don't know how long this strike might last, we do know how much it could hurt the economy if this goes on.
Is typically not the growing season of the U.S. So if this prolongs a month, 2 months, 3 months, be prepared to see prices relatively higher in the grocery store.
And it will certainly hurt the U.S. economy. The estimates are $5 billion a day could be lost.
You know what's crazy? How come? Okay, that's the solution. That would be the problem. The reason why prices would fucking go up. Why are the prices going up right now in the grocery stores? Can anybody answer me that question? What's really going on? Why are the prices super high now? If everything is going, or everything was, let's say a week ago, a month ago, 2 months ago, if everything was business as usual and flowing so smoothly, why the fuck is the price is going? The gas is not even going up, really. It's just like gas is going down and everything else is going up. Why is all these food prices going up then? These goods and services and all this bullshit going up, cars and all this shit. If it's business as usual. And then you talk about, prepare to see prices go up. Prices been going up. See, is this manufactured? What's really going on? I'm just asking questions. What's really going on with this shit? Is this like an attack on the economy or what?
In the U.S.
But I think it is because you're automating a lot of shit, right? So what does that tell you?
Economy. This map shows shipments expecting to come in.
States, some of the same states as the hurricane hit, right? Interesting. The East Coast, Eastern Seaboard, right?
Into the East Coast. That's about 120 ships on their way here with no one to unload their cargo once they get there. Outside of New York and New Jersey ports, several ships have already dropped anchor. They're now waiting, cooling their heels for the strike to end.
The dock worker strike may have this ripple effect. It likely will, all the way across the country, including here in Arizona, depending on how long this lasts.
Fox 10's Brian Webb live with details tonight. Brian.
Well, guys, up to 60% of all imports come into this country from the East Coast and the Gulf Coast.
60%.
Hi, Brian.
Well, guys, up to 60% of all
60%, over half.
imports come into this country from the East Coast and the Gulf Coast. The good news, mostly it's not the things you find at the store, food, water, or even toilet paper, but that's not stopping some shoppers from stocking up.
Right.
This video from inside a big box store shows shoppers loading pallets full of toilet paper and water, a repeat performance of the pandemic.
I think that I'm stocking up on just everything that I possibly can because I think the grocery stores are going to be empty.
Really don't think it's affecting
Who's recording? Is that the store? Who was recording around? Was that who was recording those people doing that? Was that other people just recording them? Or That was kind of weird. I guess maybe somebody else with a camera phone. I don't know.
Anybody in there. They're just getting what they normally would get from the looks of things.
The strike could impact everything from car components to clothes and some perishable foods like bananas, but not the staples you find at the store.
Our ports are the front door of the country and of our supply chains. And they're sort of closed right now on one side of the country, and especially for things coming from South and Central America and for Europe. That's going to be a big issue.
Roger says most of the items like food, water, toilet paper, and baby formula are produced in the U.S. and do not need to be imported. But things like bananas, chocolate, coffee beans, and some alcohol do. So they may be delayed and end up costing more.
It's not really a matter of we're not going to be able to get stuff here because there is other ways into the country. The problem is they're going to be more expensive ways. And we will see some inflation probably reflected as an impact of the strike if the strike goes on for more than 2 or 3 weeks.
And the longer the strike lasts, the bigger mark it'll make.
I don't think it'll be a problem.
You don't think it'll be?
Because, you know, when it's COVID, it's different. Because when it's COVID, everything has to be shut down because they are afraid to be sick.
Don't talk to Mike, people that are from this country about that shit, dude. Please. That's stupid. You talking to people that ain't even from this country about this shit. They don't give a fuck about this shit. Motherfucker probably got a government grant, government loan, fucking business, all that shit. Why the fuck would he care about that shit? Fuck. That's the wrong person you ask. Ask somebody in the fucking hood. Ask some regular motherfucking 9 to 5 motherfucker. Ask some motherfucker sitting at the bus stop. They don't got a car. Ask some motherfucker like that. Don't ask no motherfucker look like he own a business and stocking up for the fucking liquor store. Don't ask a motherfucker like that. They don't fucking ain't grateful. You serious? Truckers and ports. All right, so do you think this October surprise, or do you think? And I think it's gonna be something. I think the inflation's gonna go up even more like they want it to. It's gonna be more. It's gonna be a cold winter, baby. Like dark winter they did a couple years ago. It's all games these people play. History repeats itself.
Eventually we're off. So I already had stocked up for a while now. I replenish mine every so often. Since COVID, I replenish.
Why can't more people have the mindset of this lady right here? The other guy, it's not gonna be nothing. Oh shit, I ain't tripping. All right, so who are these experts? Experts say who are these?
If you've
experts?
ever thought, damn, comes are way too expensive,
I can't just go on.
then you need to know about Tacoma Golf.
Who deemed him?
Welcome back. Well,
if I apply for a job, I gotta have all types of credentials, all this bullshit just to get the job. Who deemed these people the expert?
Dock workers continue to hit the picket lines in a historic.
I think that that expert word is something's not right with that word, man. That's like a symbol, a sign or something. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know, motherfucker, you got to wire something in one of the movies and shit. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker do a signal and shit. That's a little signal right there. That fucking bullshit. Motherfucker wink, touch his nose twice and shit. Let him know it's the signal.
Port strike that could impact prices.
As of now, South Florida fuel deliveries and cruises remain under normal operations, but the strike could cripple the supply chain and even impact holiday shopping.
NBC6's Zora Rodriguez spoke to an expert and joins us live from Port Miami with more. Laura.
Well, the strike continues here outside of Port Miami. You can see dozens of dock workers with their signs up, making it known they want higher wages and no automation at the port.
It's definitely going to cause chaos the longer it goes on.
So what if they give them the whatever 60-something% or whatever? But what if they still? But see, I'm confused. So if they how much is it going to be automated? They said damn near all the China ports are automated.
All eyes on negotiations between
This is a trick bag.
dock workers on the East.
Or we're going to struggle with you and act like, you know what I'm saying, we don't want to give you a certain amount of money. But then at the same time, one of the main reasons, you know what I'm saying, another reason why we're going to stall and do all this shit too is because we want to automate this shit. We know y'all don't want to automate it. So we're going to do it behind your back. And even if we do give y'all the money or settle on something, eventually we're still going to automate the shit anyway. It's all bullshit. It's fake, man. They never, police experts say, FBI experts say, who are these fucking experts? I'm confused. They don't never say who the motherfucker, man, I see you hear that all the time. There is no expert, exactly. There ain't no damn expert. They lying. Oh yeah, McDonald's is hella automated. They got Flippy.
Coast and port operators as consumers and business owners worry about their bottom line.
As this continues to go on and we enter the weeks increment of time, as that happens, then you're going to start to likely see either increased costs through increased transportation costs, potential shortages of products that come in.
At ports on the East Coast, fresh produce is a major import. International lawyer Tiffany Compress represents trade clients in the agribusiness space.
They're concerned that the product is going to rot, or that the product at a minimum, even if the strike is just a day or two, will decline in quality.
They need, you know what they need too? What's up? I don't know what's up with this union or whatever the fuck. They need a maritime lawyers. They need some lawyers, some maritime lawyers. You know what I'm saying? They need some maritime lawyers. Yep. They need some maritime lawyers, though. They need people to really negotiate, you know?
I mean, these are things that are harvested fresh, right? So as they decline in quality, obviously the price that you can get for them will decline.
Many businesses are now looking into rerouting their shipments through ports on the West Coast.
It'll just increase the amount of time it takes to arrive where it needed to, because once it gets into that port on the West Coast, it has to get either railed or via truck, wherever it's going. Certainly with many of these things, they could put them on airplanes, but they're not going to because it's just ridiculously expensive.
NBC6 viewers sent in these photos from stores in Broward County, but experts say right now, many are panic buying.
Those shortages, I would guess those are isolated incidents due to people kind of reacting to the potential for shortages. So the first couple of days, I think it's the equivalent of kind of just scraping your knee. A little hiccup, shouldn't be too bad. As we start to hit the week 1, week 2, that's when things certainly could get increasingly more problematic.
On Tuesday, the union representing the dock workers rejected a 50% pay raise. They're asking for 77%. Currently, their average base salary is about $81,000 per year. And several industries prepared for the strike, stocking up on goods in advance. But of course, perishable goods, that is not an option for that industry. So many are hoping that the union and these port operators can reach a deal. Reporting live in Miami, I'm Laura Rodriguez, NBC6 News.
All right, let me get a little bit more right here, and then I'm gonna go on something.
For the latest on the dock workers strike, now in its second.
Something now, and then I'm gonna go on. What else? No, I did the debate. I'm gonna go on this P. Diddy bullshit too, man.
Day, tens of thousands of dock workers at ports along the East and Gulf Coast continue to walk the picket lines. Here in our area, the panic buying among consumers has now started. At the Costco in Teterboro, people could be seen stocking up on essentials over fears that the strike could have impacts on our supply chain. New Jersey reporter Anthony Johnson is live at the Port of Elizabeth with the very latest. Anthony.
Yeah, Liz, you can see the dock workers are still behind me. They are still standing their ground. At this point in time, no new word on any talks between management and the union. But the union workers say they're going to be out here as long as it takes so they can get a fair contract. Now, you talked about the people going to the store, customers going to the store. A lot of people online very early this morning before that Costco actually opened. Of course, this is the Jewish high holy days, so a lot of those folks were going shopping because of that one fact. But a lot of people also said they're getting prepared for the possibility that supplies will come up short. Long lines at one of the local big retailers may be the result of a frenzy of shoppers worried about supply shortages.
Is it panic buying? I mean, well, some of it is, I think, but I think at the same time, do that. Don't just do this shit because this is happening. Do this shit to stock up. Do this shit because you should be doing it.
Especially if
propaganda is the new. It's, you know what I'm saying. toilet paper, you know.
The dock workers strike last.
See, Dan, if toilet paper was made here, why would they acting like that? How is there a shortage when this shit's made here? Anyway, let's go.
That's a long time.
Let's go.
We are scared because we don't know. It's just like going over with COVID again. People rushing the stores, everybody's panicking,
right.
And that's why I'm here today.
I came in at 9:30. I was waiting online because I know people panic every time they hear something.
Some shoppers are not panic shopping, but when you mix in the fact that the Jewish high holy days are here, the crowds are unusually large.
I didn't come here because of the strike. I just came here because I legit, every month I come to Costco, but now there's people panic shopping.
In the meantime, the striking longshoremen are manning the picket lines for a second day in a row. It's estimated the U.S. economy is losing billions each day. The head of the New Jersey Business and Industry Association says this strike could hit small businesses in the state hard and fast.
The small business, they could get shut down quickly because they are relying upon those things coming in on a regular basis to actually fund 100%, to build 100% of what they're putting out by way of a product.
This graph from the New York Waterfront Commission from 2019 to 2020 shows the salaries of dock workers in our region, with some making hefty salaries.
Because the exporting, us exporting stuff. You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, I see what you're saying, though. I see what you're saying. We should be exporting most of the stuff and then importing little of stuff. We should be importing less and exporting more. And we exporting more and importing less. Oh, and we guess what? We get a lot of stuff from these foreign countries. Oh, because that NAFTA, my bad. Bill Clinton, thanks. Bill Clinton.
Salaries. But workers say the numbers don't reflect the dangers of the job or take into account
the Democrats has been in office for 12 or 16 years, and this economic stuff has been happening 12 or 16 years, right? So only 4 years a Republican was in there out of 16 years. Let that sink in. Only 4 years a Republican was in there out of 16 years. Let that sink in. These policies are these Democrats, but the Republicans are in on it too. They're all in on it. Trust me, these Republicans really wanted, because there was been times where Republican, the House and the Senate was mostly Republican. There's been times where the House and the Senate, like 2 years ago, where the House and the Senate was mostly Democrat. These motherfuckers could stop if they wanted to. The Congress could stop the Federal Reserve. I hope y'all didn't know that. I hope y'all know that. Right.
Their work during COVID. A technology expert says if the walkout persists, some popular holiday presents may not be in stock because of a semiconductor shortage. Many of those are shipped from overseas.
This will determine whether or not there's a good holiday and a strong economy, or a recession and Scrooge coming along and holding back the gifts that consumers love.
Yeah, once again, you saw that graph there showing the salaries of dock workers here in the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area. But
look, all them black dock workers. This is affecting us, man. Trust me, this is affecting us.
It does not reflect dock workers in other places. Remember, this strike goes all the way from Maine down to Texas. And hearing from the ILA yesterday, they say some of their workers in some of those other ports make just over the minimum wage. So a fair contract is vital for them and their families. That is the latest live from Elizabeth, Eyewitness News.
Thank you.
All right, let's do what we doing. People look at
Now at Verizon Business.
All right, let's go somewhere else with this. You know what I'm saying? Let's just pray for these people. Okay, we going? What was it? What was I gonna do? Let me see. What's up with this this bullshit too? These are stage 2. Let's the flash
The
mob.
sales CRM that keeps you on track. Pipe Drive, driving business growth.
In Los Angeles, police getting some surprising help from suspects' parents, turning in at least 3 teens to officers in recent days after the department shared images of massive bike flash mobs ransacking 7-Eleven stores.
With all the publicity that we use the media on the flash mobs, that the parents had seen that and decided that the right thing to do was to bring the child in.
The LAPD says there have been more than a dozen of these flash robberies at 10 7-Elevens across the city since July.
See, that's bullshit. That's BS. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but I know is this is they trying to shut down 7-Elevens because out here where I'm out here like 20 minutes away from LA, 20, 30 minutes away from LA. So they shut down a lot of 7-Elevens out here too. So what does that tell you? It sounds like something don't sound right to me. Don't believe everything you hear. I'm just saying this could all be orchestrated. I'm not saying this is not happening. This is something just don't seem right about this because they shut down like 3 or 4 7-Elevens out here where I'm at. Hell, they shut down a 7-Eleven by Disneyland. The right one right by Disneyland. Why would you shut that one down? You don't think that one's making a lot of money? Interesting. Why would you shut that one down by Disneyland? Something's not right. I'm telling you, something's going down with these 7-Elevens, man.
Where mobs of young
Don't be surprised if more of these get shut down. Don't be surprised if this one gets shut down.
people flood stores, snag merchandise, knock over displays, and take off, typically occurring on Friday nights. While there are calls for more precise data, research shows Los Angeles is the most affected city in the U.S. by organized retail crime.
I think
What's organized about it? If I'm going and doing something, how's that organized? If I'm going, they make it seem like cats is planning with blueprints, and they make it seem like these cats is knocking down these stores. They make it seem like they're pulling out bank heists or something. Oh, organized crime! Like, come on, man. There's a few little, you know what I'm saying? 50 little punks go in the store, you know what I mean, and ransack it and steal. They're just little punks, man. You know what I mean? I think honestly, you already know what I think about this, man. Don't trust the news, man. And you really mean to tell me that these moms and certain parents really turn themselves in over their kids in? Which one? Okay, which ones? And the crazy thing about it, you guys are showing they're showing these kids faces on camera. You still can't, even though they're suspects, still can't show their face on camera because they're minors. Am I right or wrong? How do you know how old these kids are? So therefore, you don't know how old these kids are. Therefore, you cannot show them on camera. Just like, for example, a police officer cannot take a child's picture. Does that make sense? You got their pictures, basically. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Pizza Huts are closing. You got all these dudes' pictures and stuff like this. You got these pictures, their pictures on camera, or excuse me, you got them on camera on film in these stores, but yet at the same time they're minors though. How does that work? And how's they gonna play out in court? I mean, does that make sense, or do I not know what I'm talking about? Or does that make sense what I'm saying, or no? So you could just take a minor's picture or use it as evidence, right? Even though it's a minor. Okay. No consent from the parents. It makes sense. Let's go. And if that's the case, if certain moms turn their kids in, I wonder which ones did. Which ones, as a matter of fact, don't be surprised if it one of them moms that, you know what I'm saying, turn their kids in that was on this photo, on these videos right here. Don't be surprised. Who? I'm just asking questions like an owl. Who?
I think these individuals have been lulled into a false sense of security, into thinking that if they do it in mass, that somehow they may be able to just slink away because of the sheer numbers of perpetrators. And so this time, not so much.
The stores often left in shambles, requiring major cleanup efforts and becoming a priority for the LAPD, applauding parents who are choosing to hold their kids accountable.
It is interesting to hear that parents themselves were active in getting their children to be held accountable for those and to face consequences.
The minors were booked for robbery and released back to their parents.
When you engage in foolishness, you play stupid games and you win stupid prizes. And so I'm glad that these parents are modeling and teaching their children that every choice has a consequence. And hopefully this will deter these young people from doing it if they've done it before and the parents just didn't know.
All right, Emily Aketa joins us now in studio. So, Emily, what else is the LAPD doing to sort of get these robberies, which are very high profile because we watch them all the time on the news?
Absolutely.
How do they get them under control?
So I mentioned those several arrests, but police actually believe there were something like 20 to 40 young people that had been involved in this string of robberies over the last number of months. And they believe that some of those people weren't even from the area of the crime.
See, they're not from the area. See, that's that typical crisis actor, agent provocateur activity, just like a Ferguson and all that, right? All the writing and stuff, and them people weren't even from there. See, it's the same MO. I don't know, man. How do y'all know they weren't from there? How do y'all know who? How many of them wasn't from there? How do you know? How do they know the amount that was and wasn't from there? How many of them are in custody? The questions they're not telling. I mean, things they're not telling us, right?
Big games, then you win stupid prizes. And so I'm glad that these parents are modeling and teaching their children that every choice has a consequence. And
I guess they're saying that some of these kids parents of these kids are turning into kids.
hopefully this will deter these young people from doing it if they've done it before and the parents just didn't know.
All right, Emily Aketa joins us now in studio. So, Emily, what else is the LAPD doing to sort of get these robberies, which are very high profile because we watch them all the time on the news?
Absolutely.
How do they get them under control?
Just because something's on the news, so it's high profile because y'all say it's high profile. But at least some of these big cases that are high profile, they don't be on the news on purpose because you don't want to play it because that's not the narrative that you want to run.
So I mentioned those several arrests, but police actually believe there were something like 20 to 40 young people that had been involved in this string of robberies.
How do you not know if somebody snitched? If one of them kids snitched or one of them, what y'all saying, if one of the parents told, you know what I'm saying? Or told them to tell, how do you not know the exact amount? Oh, like 20 or 40. That didn't count on the fucking camera? I don't know, man. I just think the news is just a horrible Operation Mockingbird.
Robberies over the last number of months, and they believe that some of those people weren't even from the area of the crime. So they're getting in touch with school resource officers, school districts across the region, and they're also putting out an ask to
number three suspects. I'll be telling you about these numbers. It's always
the public
the same
to bring
numbers.
forward any kind of
13,
information. They've already received a number of
27,
anonymous tips, and as we've
7,
seen, we know some of those tips, critical tips, could be
13.
coming from the families of the suspects themselves.
All right, Emily Aketa, for us, interesting story.
I don't know, man. Whatever. I guess. So, yeah, they want chaos. Some moms hate their kids and just want them out. Man, ooh, that's true. But they lied to three just happen to be 3 kids, right? Okay. All right, so let me see what else we can get into, man. Ridiculous. So Gavin Newsom this is how grimy this dude is. Gavin Newsom, right? This dude is gonna let people vote without an ID. Wow. Governor Gavin Newsom signs law to Huntington Beach. Oh, guess what? Huntington Beach just happens to be white and happens to be Republican. Oh, wow. Interesting. I can't. These Democrats.
The 290 horsepower Kia K5 GT.
So a ballot initiative.
Racist Republican white area. If they want to be racist and white and Republican, hey, more power to them. He's just doing this because he's a Democrat, and he's just doing this to go with the narrative of, oh, voter ID is oh man, that's unconstitutional. But damn, don't you need an ID to go everywhere? You need a fucking ID for everything. You need to go. You go to T-Mobile, you need your ID. To go to the damn phone store, you need an ID. The gym, you need your ID. To get on a plane, you need an ID. It's like you need an ID for everything that's important in life in America, but yet supposedly voting is supposed to be important, right? Supposedly, which it ain't, but it's supposed to be important. And then you don't need an ID for that. The Democrats don't want to push an ID for that. They think it's unconstitutional. I don't see how that's unconstitutional. Or y'all want people that's non-citizens to vote. I get it. You want you know what I'm saying?
Approved by voters in the coastal California city of Huntington Beach.
Like I said, if they want a white racist city, let them have the white racist city, man.
In March, 53.4% of residents
I ain't going to the white racist city. I don't go to Huntington Beach. I'm just saying.
Voted to adopt a ballot measure that requires all residents who want to cast a ballot in municipal elections to show a valid ID. Nothing wrong with that. I live in a voter ID state. Every time I vote, I show mine. But the measure runs afoul of state law. It said, and after it passed, California Attorney General Rob Bonta and Secretary of State Shirley Weber sued the city to block officials from enforcing it. Now, why they want to stop voter ID? Now, let's continue. They talking about the right to free the cash your vote is the foundation of our democracy, and Huntington Beach voter ID policy flies in the face of this principle. That is a freaking lie. It's talking about state election law already contains a robust voter ID requirements with strong protections to prevent voter fraud while ensuring that every eligible voter can cast their ballot without hardship, impose necessary obstacles to voter participation, disproportionately burdens low-income voters, voters of color, young or elderly voters, and people with disabilities.
Voters of color? I don't know what of color means. I don't know what that means. That's weird. They're putting them blank states. They putting the misnomer terms, broad, vigorous, in term.
Now, I said lawsuit went through the courts, and the California Assembly passed a bill in August and introduced earlier in the year by the state senator David Min to ban local governments like Huntington Beach from imposing voter ID requirements in municipal elections.
They are.
Now, we're going to put something else up on the screen. Now, in America, you see that the Democrats oppose Voter ID Act when you need IDs for your doctor's visit, your prescriptions, you fly on airplanes, Medicare, Social Security, marriage, oh yes, bank account, yes indeed, cigarettes depending on locale, alcohol, job/jobless benefits, welfare, food stamps, adopt a pet. It said buy a cell phone, buy or rent a house, buy or rent a car, rent a hotel room, buy a gun, hunting license, and fishing license. That is all correct. And also, here are other countries who has the same law. As you can see on the screen, many countries has voter ID laws. I'm looking at Botswana down there. South Africa has it. You see a lot of European nations, Asian nations that you see. Kenya has it. That's another African country. A lot of people have voter ID laws. But so if all these other countries have voter ID laws, you look at Costa Rica, that's a Latin American country. I mean, pick one, right? So voter ID is good for all these other countries, but it's not good for the Democrats. Why is that? Now you see, and I got to be careful how I say some of this stuff on this platform. Now you see why people allude to maybe it's some funny business going on with the Democrat Party with this voter ID stuff, because they've done many interviews with Black people and they've asked them, do you have an ID? And everybody said, yeah, I got an ID. They ask them, do you know where the DMV is at to get an ID? And they're like, yeah, it's around the corner. Or, yeah, it's across town. It's whatever, right? So the Democrats try to lie on our people forever. They want to put low income and elderly, like elderly people don't have an ID. Elderly people travel all the time. When I go to the airport, I always see elderly people. They're traveling, they're doing their thing, ladies and gentlemen, and they're presenting their ID. Definitely elderly people, because when they get their medications and all that, they got to show their ID. So you can't lie on elderly people, quote unquote, low income people. They're just human beings like everybody else, and they use their ID for things right here in America. But when it comes to voting in this country, you can't, oh my God, you can't have an ID. No, that is so the Democrats in California can use the migrants to participate in our elections. And if they have to have a proper ID to do so, and you check that ID, to check what their status is, they cannot vote. Y'all, brothers and sisters in California, y'all really need to be paying attention to your election, because that wasn't done by happenstance. They want, the Democrats, one thing I've learned about them, they believe in funny business. I have to watch what I say, but they believe in funny business. Okay. This is why they're fighting so hard for these mail-in ballots. And this is why they're fighting so hard about voter ID. I live in a voter ID state, and not ever once in the voter ID state where I live, a Republican ran state, nobody has stopped me from voting. Not once. On the contrary, they welcome me to vote. Just the other day, I went down to the county because when I had moved to my current address, I had put in for my voter registration change, but my wife's was in, but mine said suspense. So I called and said, why mine say suspense? Say, oh, because we didn't get a signature. So you registered, but it's in suspense. So when you go to the poll, you're going to have to sign paperwork. I said, look, I don't want to do that. What do I need to do? I said, well, just come over down here. You'll sign it over here. Within 24 hours, you'll be completely active. You don't have to do that. I'll say, okay, cool. I went down there. I filled out a little card I had to fill out, signed it. That was it. Nobody was saying you can't vote. Oh my God. And what did they ask me for? Hey, you got your ID? I gave them my driver's license. No harm, no foul. Right? I've had a driver's license when I didn't even make no money. When I was an 18-year-old kid, I had a driver's license. So don't tell me you can't get a driver's license if you quote unquote don't have no money. That's a lie. 16-year-old children in this country, teenagers, get a driver's license and they don't have no money. So stop all the lies about money. You can get a state ID for free in most states. And if you have to pay for it, it may be $10, $15 if you have to pay. These Democrats always want to do something funny style. And we're seeing that. Y'all in California, y'all better be paying attention. Have your lawyers on deck. And if we don't know.
I'm Jonathan Finiak with Wyoming LLC Attorney. We can assist you with.
But Trump said that if there's any funny style stuff going on in the election, they're going to prosecute him when he get in office. So for those of you who in California who try to put some funny style business, and also how many times have I told y'all the Democrats do not believe in democracy? Why I say that? Because as you saw, the voters in Huntington Beach wanted voter ID, and they overturned the will of the people to have voter ID. I told y'all, the Democrats don't believe in democracy. They believe in authoritarianism, because that's what that is. They want to talk about Trump want to be a dictator. Gavin Newsom is being a dictator. Because a democracy says the people voted, right? Their vote was the majority say we want voter ID. And that's what it should have been in their city, voter ID. So y'all pay attention to your election in California, folks. Just like we're going to pay attention to our election. Devil in Texas, I'm not worried about that. But those of you who in those Democrat states, y'all better watch them. You better watch them. Because they will try some, boy, I'm telling you. But yeah, now the good thing about Gavin Newsom is this is it for him. He can't run no more. So hopefully y'all get a new governor that will be a lot better than him, because that guy has ruined California. California is a beautiful state. I've met a lot of great brothers and sisters in California. The beaches are nice. Weather is, oh man, the weather is beautiful. That weather's so nice. It made me want to move to California. But one of the main reasons I couldn't move to California is because of the politics. I couldn't deal with them California politics and the unnecessary cost of living. Oh my Lord. No, I'm cool down here in Texas with my cost of living. And I like that Texas has the most black people in any state in this country, right? Going over there, you're outnumbered. So I don't want to be in an outnumbered situation. But outside of that, California is a nice, it's a nice place. But Gavin Newsom and the Democrats have literally.
Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea.
And that's interesting. That was good. Shout out to Phil Scott, man. Check out his channel. What else? I was gonna play something else too right now. Let me play a little bit of Darren Muhammad real quick. Shout out to Darren Muhammad. Check out his channel on Facebook or on Instagram every Wednesday and Saturday. I'm just gonna play a little bit of his real quick, like 5 minutes or something. And I'll play a little bit of Zach Hubbard. My bad. I had to shout out to Demeter Miles. So let me see. What the hell am I doing? Oh yeah, Darren Muhammad. So let me play back a little bit of Darren Muhammad real quick, man. He was going in, man.
But Don Trump and the White Hats, right? They interrupted that. And of course, once they was able to get Trump out, BlackRock, Kevin's Deese, I think his name is Kevin, is it Deese? Deese, and what's the other guy? Michael Powell, P-Y-L-E, right? I think it's Michael Powell or Kenneth Powell, who worked in Kamala Harris' office, right? And he just left Kamala Harris' office and went back to BlackRock, I think, right? Then they had another guy, Nigerian guy, who was working there, and now he started a group called Global Infrastructure Partners. Now, and he had it for the last 2.5 years. Now, Global Infrastructure Partners was just sold to BlackRock. So now when you see all of this destruction and damage, which we're going to get into, then you'll begin to see who benefits from it, because this is all part of what Obama used to call Build Back Better, when they destroyed Haiti through the earthquake and claimed they was going to build back better Haiti. Now they don't call it Build Back Better. They call it the Infrastructure and Inflation, right, bill. And then tied to that is the outside group, which they call Global Infrastructure Partners, okay? So I wanted to make sure I put that on your mind. But let me go to some of these clips talking about, again, the port shutdown. And as I said before, eventually looking at how it will affect so many. So let's see if I got this piece talking about that, which I think I do quickly. Trucker strike and impact. This is local first that will start. So listen to this here, and then we'll be back. Let me move this here. Here we go.
Governor stopped by along with Maryland's U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen. They stopped by to show their support for the folks who are walking this picket line. This is one of 2 picket lines here outside the port. This is along Groning Highway outside the Dundalk Marine Terminal. These union members are the workers who usually, when they're not striking, are moving containers off of the ships and onto trucks and trains inside the port. That has not happened in 2 days. And the Maryland Motor Truck Association says the state's trucking industry is feeling the impact. What we gonna do? Shut them down. What we gonna do? Shut them down. High-level support for striking union workers at the Port of Baltimore today from 2 of our state's top elected Democrats.
Look at this
Governor Wes
foolishness.
Moore and U.S.
Cooning.
Senator Chris Van Hollen.
Hi, Chris Van Hollen, Senator.
This is day 2 of the dock worker strike at Baltimore's port and 35 others across the country. It started when contract talks stalled over union demands for job security, better pay, and less automation. Some 45,000 members of the International Longshoremen's Association walked off the job and onto the picket line, including this one outside the Dundalk Marine Terminal. Marylanders will feel the impact of this labor action, some now, some later, according to Louis Campion, president and CEO of the Maryland Motor Truck Association. With no freight coming out of the port, he says there is no work for trucking companies and truck drivers.
So I have companies who are saying
But
all
that's
of
true.
my drivers are now shut down. And if this goes even a couple days more, I'm going to have to start laying off office workers.
And he says the longer this continues, looming supply chain and inventory shortages may become reality for Maryland consumers.
The one thing we do know is what types of products will be impacted first, right? So perishable goods. You see a lot about produce, for example. We have a lot of bananas that come up through the various ports on the East Coast.
Okay. So bananas likely first, depending on how long this goes, but also things like toilet paper and paper towels, diapers, medications, textbooks, computers, the clothes you wear, and auto parts. All of that is stuff that you use every day that comes to Maryland through the Port of Baltimore. Reporting live at the port, I'm Kate Amara, WBAL TV 11 News.
Well, that's one piece. Let me go to the next piece, because then the other question is, well, military equipment comes through there. How they gonna move that? How they gonna move that military equipment that comes through there? That's the other piece that we got to look at. So let me go to this next piece talking about port leaders slam Biden, rightfully so. And of course, there is no plan B. Let me go to the next piece here from NBC talking about that quickly.
America's imports and exports. More than 45,000 workers from Texas to Maine are rallying for better pay and job security. News 4's Adam Tess explains the far-reaching impacts of this strike.
Yeah, well, you think about everything that this port has been through over the last couple of months, the Dolly container ship, right? You had the Key Bridge collapse, and now take a look at this. We have this major picket line that has just been growing throughout the day here at the Dundalk Marine Terminal, and these workers, they say they want better pay, better benefits, and a better job experience. The frustration over pay on full vocal display.
We want to work. We're just saying we need fair wages. How the hell can I go work at McDonald's and make what I'm making now? Makes no sense.
But there's also real concern with these dock workers about automation. Basically machines that could take over many jobs along ports throughout the country. At times during the morning, other port employees attempting to show up for work, they were blocked by picketers. Police on hand to keep everything moving peacefully. From the Northeast to Texas, thousands of dock workers now on strike, and they say they'll stay off the job until their demands are heard. That could have a direct impact on how quickly materials we all use and food we all eat are processed.
We may be 60,000 members from Maine to Texas, but what we control in the economy is billions and billions and billions of dollars every day.
Experts say for every week this strike drags on, the backlog at ports will grow by 4 to 6 weeks, and eventually the supply chain disruption will make its way to the prices we all pay.
Put some juice on, man.
In Baltimore, Adam Tess, News 4.
All right. So again, these are some of the stories, but the important part, as we hear him talking about how it will affect, of course, inflation, and the cost of food and products will rise as well. Of course, it will create a supply chain shortage as far as being able to get products that, again, from A to Z, that Americans will need, right? So it means that as this goes on, that those of us that understand, again, you don't want to hoard, but you want to store and put away the things that you need. Hoarding is a violation of the universal order. So you want to make sure you stock up and put away, not hoarding, okay? So that's important. And of course, that means you're going to have to eat out less, eat at home. You know what I mean? So if you don't know what it is to make some soup or how to make some beans, right, you're going to have to eventually learn that, because, again, may not be no Thanksgiving, although every day you live is a day to give thanks, okay? May not be no Thanksgiving. May not be no Christmas. Now, what will eventually have to happen is how we can directly target Wall Street. You can take one company, one bank of theirs, right, and show them that you mean business, but you got to give the people something practical and tactical to do, as Dr. King did the night before he was assassinated, when he told the people, take your money out the white banks, put your money in the black banks. Take your money And he said boycott Seal Test milk, Seal Test ice cream, Wonder Bread, and Heart's Bread. He was giving them something practical and tactical to do. We don't see black leaders today, right? Or brown, red, yellow, or white, giving the people something tactical and practical to do, right? In terms of saying, again, we got to have a redistribution of the wealth. But before you can get a redistribution of the wealth, you're going to have to redistribute the pain, right? Because the old saying goes, or to redistribute the pressure, because pressure will break pipes. And some of our white brothers, in terms of those that didn't like the drag queen reading story, what Target, what certain beer companies were trying to do with pushing certain agendas, they showed what they could do. Now, when the last time we saw black folk talk about a real boycott, divestment, and sanction, right? The old running joke has been the biggest boycott in the black community since the 1960s has been toward black businesses, right? So, but that's just a running joke, and in some places it's a reality right now. But it's not something that's organized, right? It's kind of spontaneous where the people are spending their money outside their community. But all of that is because our communities, of course, don't have black businesses as we grew up seeing in the 60s and in the 70s and even in the 80s, right? That was all by design. So again, because that way you can control seeing in the 60s and in the 70s and even in the 80s, right? That was all by design. So again, because that way you can control your sources, control your food, control your communities, control, of course, your institutions, not let anybody else come in and control it under the pretext that we want integration, as Brother Malcolm X talked about in his most famous speech, The Ballad of the Bullet. He could say black nationalism. The Asians practice nationalism, right? The Arabs practice nationalism. The Indians practice nationalism, right? The Jews practice nationalism. Every ethnic group does it without people saying, well, that's because you hate another ethnic group. No, they understand the first law of nature, self-preservation. They understand when they get up in the morning, the first person they looking for in the mirror, themselves. They're not looking for somebody else. Okay. So Brother Malcolm said, if you black, you should be thinking black. He said, if you black and you ain't thinking black at this late date, I'm sorry for you. Whether you call yourself black, Hebrew, whatever you choose to call yourself, right? A sovereigntist, or you better be a black African thinking sovereignist. Okay. At the bottom line. All right. So because that's where you're gonna live. So that's where you give your power to. So you tune to the state of the city. So I wanted to make sure that we stay on top of that, but also giving the people something practical and tactical. And I'm always reaching out to brothers, of course, and sisters, but brothers in particular that are longshoremen, my man, Brother Rock, Brother Womack, Brother Manuel, Brother Johnny G, so many brothers that I know that work down the port, Brother Milt Tillman, so many other brothers. And I'm always reaching out to them saying, man, y'all got to come on the show. Tell us what y'all want us to do. But of course, the other part, they got to be able to trust the management, make sure the management is giving them the necessary again, practical, tactical information with transparency, because if you're talking about a contract, the workers should be able to read the contract before you sign off on the contract. They got to vote on the contract, so they got to know what's in the contract. As we always say, the devil's in the details. We say, no, the devil wrote the details. So they got to know that and be able to give them a copy of it. That's like you come to a business meeting, or like they used to do in City Hall. We come into a budget meeting and they don't give you a copy of the budget. You say, wait a minute, man, I thought y'all said it was a budget meeting. I can't go in a restaurant and don't get a menu. If I go in a restaurant, it better be a restaurant I'm familiar with and I know what's on the menu if I'm going to order something. When I come in a restaurant, I want to see a menu. So if you say this is the contract, I want to see what least temporary they offering it if I'm a port worker, man. I at least want to see that. Otherwise, they could be working both sides. The management up top could be working with Maritime Alliance to get rid of a certain number of port workers to bring in automation, getting rid of a certain number of port workers to bring in cheap labor. You understand? So everything should be, transparent on the up and up, right? For the workers to be able to see. And at the same time, when you had Kamala Harris running around talking about down with deportation, up with education. Well, she should be out there with them workers. Your governor should have been out there, right? Not just coming to get some greetings wearing that old fake shirt talking about Maryland tough, Baltimore strong, but demonstrating it and saying that they're not laying off one worker. Notice he just came to get some hugs. He didn't come to say they're not laying off no longshoreman worker, right? We're not going to have no automation coming to this port. He can't do that because he tied into BlackRock. He tied into Wall Street, and the boys that work with Maritime Alliance, the corporation. Your governor got richer during the pandemic, man. For those of you that know, Westmore he put his money in a blind trust fund. He made so much money during the pandemic, man, because he's out of Jersey and them Jews up Jersey and New York that control him. He worked for Deutsche Bank. He worked for Citibank. So he made money during the pandemic, man. But yet, so again, but you got to see, if you got the media gonna tell you that. Your governor had stock in Green Thumb Marijuana, which is a synthetic marijuana company out of Chicago, Westmore. So he made money and had to put his money in a blind trust fund when he was running for governor. So the question, you have to find out how many other boards that he sit on. He sits on so many boards of so many corporations. We told you sit on the Council on Foreign Relations. Council on Foreign Relations is really tantamount to the CIA. Okay, Carnegie Corporation, CIA. They make a lot. Rockefeller Foundation. This is your governor. So this is the reality of who we're dealing with right now. They can't be trusted in no way, shape, or form. So he can come and give a little meet up, give you a little dap. But the first thing I'll be asking him, we want something in writing. That do you say up with education, down with automation? Educate that workforce. Then you won't be talking about we got to bring in automation. And none of us are against technology, but you ain't getting rid of technology than white boys on Wall Street. You ain't getting rid of technology with the governor, with the politicians. So if that's the case, you say you don't get rid of technology. You use technology to better get the work done. But if them workers got a contract, you got to abide by the contract. That's the bottom line. But most Americans right now, they not worrying about the strike because there's a Major League Baseball playoff. Don't know if the Orioles won, but most people more worried about them strikes, balls and strikes, than they are about the strike that's really going to affect them lives, man. The Orioles don't affect my life, okay? Whether they win or lose. But this is what we saw in Nazi Germany. This is what we saw in Rome, man, where the people were distracted with the stadiums and with the gladiators, right? They distracted with the stadiums and the gladiators. That's your boredom game. That's your circus to keep you distracted like children. But the scripture says, when I was a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away those childish things, and you begin to see what's really going on, okay? All right? Because again, most people, they worry more right now about the balls and strikes as opposed to the port strike that's going to affect their lives, okay? What happened with the O's, or what happened with the Yankees, or what happened with the Dodgers, or what happened with the Padres, unless you betting on it and betting your life, your livelihood, and betting, your mortgage on that, then, I guess it probably will affect you. Okay. Probably will affect you. You doing parlays and all that. You better listen to my man, Zach Hubbard. He going to show you where to put your money if you are. Better listen to Zach Hubbard. He show you how it's rigged, show you how it's fixed, tell you who's going to win this game. And he tell you how many points. The man been on it since I've started following him, at least 2013, man. Okay. So talk to my man Victor Booth out there and some of the other brothers. They'll tell you they listen to him. They done made money, man. $1,000s, tens of $1,000s off of them. Okay. So, but I don't, again, growing up in the Nation of Islam, we was always taught in terms of, again, restrictive laws of Islam. And one of them was, of course, we don't play no games, no sporting, no betting on, of course, betting or any of that kind, right? So because how it breaks up friendships, breaks up families, etc. when you understand that. Okay. So, but let's keep it moving. Because again, this is so important in terms of the port and the longshoremen. And sometimes throughout the day, I'm just thinking, man, what can we do to help? And the brothers got to let us know what we can do to help them, but also to get their story out. And again, as I said before, look at who's benefiting from them being shut down. And as I always said, Trade Point Atlantic, which of course is going to be a international free trade zone, as it's called, right outside of Dundalk Marine Terminal in Sparrows Point, that's still going to be open and operational. So don't let anybody make you think because the longshoremen aren't working, that on the other side, Trade Point Atlantic, they're not working. They are working. They got a railroad right there, so they can put products on the train and get them products moved on the train, man. So that's real. And I was showing the brothers and talking about that when they had the Francis Scott Key Bridge, which was built 47 years ago. And it came down, of course, this year, 47 years later. I don't think any of that is a coincidence. So that's important. So again, that's very important. Now let me move on as I come back to some of these other local stories as well. Your president, of course, been missing in action. Biden, your vice president missing in action, Kamala, in terms of, again, being able to bring the parts parties to the table. And so it may be an opportunity for Trump, since he's a businessman, to say he can bring the parties to the table to get negotiations done, right? So that, again, it doesn't affect the American people with, again, going into the winter month. And of course, we know when Biden first came in, he talked about there will be a dark winter. We do know that around the country today that Bank of America customers couldn't access their bank accounts. Some of them were getting bank accounts reading zero. So you don't know if that's the next phase after the globalists and the deep state saw what happened at that vice presidential debate last night, that Walz performed so poorly, right? That they've been keeping Biden in the basement and they've been keeping Walz in the governor's mansion in Minnesota. He is the chairman of the National Governors Association, which normally, if you were the chair of the National Governors Association, as former New York Governor Cuomo was, right? As former Maryland Governor Hogan was, and as much as Wes Moore runs to be on every Sunday morning talk show, you would have thought Wes Moore was the chairman of the National Governors Association or the vice chairman of the National Governors Association. But they let Wes Moore go out there to be a surrogate more so than Tim Walz. So when it came time for Tim Walz to get in front of a microphone and have a debate, he looked like a deer in the headlights last night. And I don't know who in their right mind or white mind told him to get rid of them glasses, because he definitely looked scary without no glasses. He just looked like Casper, the unfriendly ghost, on the stage last night. So Vance, if you watched it, right, you saw how Vance, who's 40, made Walz look like he was 40, and Vance looked like he was the statesman who's 60 years old. Senator Vance, right, vice presidential running mate of Donald Trump. So clearly now Kamala, who hasn't done one interview, all she want to do is pop up and be propped up. And she had that fake look like she was on the phone with FEMA. And then when somebody posted the picture, they say, notice the cord not even connected to the phone. But all that is just photo ops. So Kamala's not doing no in-depth interviews, right? Biden wasn't doing no interviews. And Tim Walz ain't doing no interviews. Trump having rallies almost every day, man. JD Vance, he doing interviews every day. So it lets you see in the time of crisis who's willing to step up and lead and at least convey to the American people that they're in control. Biden ain't even giving that body language. Kamala, she don't even want to speak. Or they say, well, you know, you got to keep. It's almost like they let her out an insane asylum, and you don't know what she gonna say, man. You don't know what she gonna do. So they keeping her in like a, you know, what you put somebody in, you know, when them tight, I forget what you call it, you know, straight jacket, right? You don't know what she gonna say or do. Same thing with Tim Walz. So you're like, wait a minute, I thought this man said he was in the military. I thought this man said he lived in China. You say, wait a minute, man. Did he speak a little Mandarin? Did he speak some Chinese? So he looked like a deer in their headlights at the debate last night. So again, they're looking at the polling, and the polling numbers aren't looking too good. So they got to go for the Hail Mary. And the Hail Mary, of course, may be try to shut the country down again, steal the election or don't have an election, but they got to use a crisis such as the longshoremen strike, then use geoengineering to manipulate the weather. Because if you listened to my show a few months ago with, again, Mark, I think it's Mark, his name is Mark Marino, when he was speaking at the Heartland Institute, and he got a book out called Climate Change and COVID, The Elite Plans for a Permanent Lockdown. I got a clip of it I'm going to share with you in a minute, right? Climate Change and COVID, The Elite Plan for a Permanent Lockdown. Which all this is, while they got the people distracted talking about P. Diddy and Puffy, there's an aspect to that, but the people have gotten distracted where they go off the rail as opposed to saying, no, don't go down, go up the food chain to see who was a part of that was going on, right? You put it in its proper perspective is what I'm saying, okay? So they'll use that, you know what I mean? Give it to the people, right? And then people get caught up, they get distracted with that. Then they say, well, while we got them distracted, we had the UN Futures Summit, which, of course, they talked about what they want to bring in. Then there was, of course, the whole issue about the government shutdown and if they funded the government up until the end of December. So all of this could be part of the next phase of what they want to bring in. So you tune to the State of the City. We're going to close out in a minute on Instagram. Then we're going to come right back up on Instagram. So they've been limiting me to an hour. So we're going to close out in a minute, but we're going to keep rolling on Facebook, and they're going to come back up on Instagram. So Biden, when he first got in, was talking about a dark winter. Of course, as I said to you, dark winter was a tabletop exercise that Johns Hopkins and Georgetown University developed. It, of course, was one of the phases to September the 11th, because the drill they had was in June of 2001. Of course, 9/11 took place 3 months later, September the 11th. And it wasn't just the issue about the 11 planes that was going to be used, but also they were going to use smart bombs or dirty bombs in certain cities to use that to shut down the cities. So the next phase of that, of course, was to bring in the dark winter, which they talked about using influenza or the bird flu, H1N1, right, is what they were going to push to then lock down the cities, and people wouldn't be able to travel. People wouldn't be able to go outside of perspective, kind of like if you ever saw the movie Hunger Game, you would be in zones. Like FEMA has 10 regions. So they would region off the country, and governors were given federal power where they kind of federalized governors in these 10 regions. And you eventually got to know who these 10 regions are. You'll know who these governors are. So that was part of their plan then, and they haven't gotten rid of the plan. So we're going to talk more about that. We're going to close out on IG. Then we're coming back with more of the state of the city. So we'll take this quick pause, and we'll be right back. We're going to reboot. So for those of you on IG, just stay with us, but we're going to come back up. Then you come back up with us, and we'll keep going with the message. So let me stop that there, and we'll end this here, and we're going to eventually post it. So thank you for your patience.
All right, so man, shout out to Daryl Muhammad, man. I can check him out every Wednesday and Saturday, man. Salute Daryl Muhammad, you know what I mean? My dude, man. He really spins fire, man. He really comes with the knowledge, man, and the wisdom, man. So let me get into this P. Diddy, man. They're talking about Puffy P. Diddy gets new lawyer, right? This is let you know how BS this is. Fair use of the Copyright Act. This allowance to report this video for commentary and educational purposes. All right. How ridiculous this is, man. Straight up, right?
You own one of the other calibers, you might be.
Steph, thank you. We are following breaking news right now related to music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. Major new allegations today of sexual assault and exploitation by Combs.
These people are just so somebody. Man, boy, you had to have a black reporter report on this one, huh? A black woman.
For the first time, we are hearing about victims who say they were minors when they were allegedly assaulted by the music star.
Now we hear about
the youngest,
minors.
allegedly just 9 years old. The allegation.
This is how you know this how you know this don't make no sense, because check this out. I'm gonna debunk this. The FBI been investigating this dude, right? Supposedly Homeland Security raided his house. Why was no anything of any minors, any kind of evidence of any minors, anything there, right? Why didn't anybody come out? You know what I'm saying? Why? Nah, I'm not buying it, man. I ain't buying it. It's easy to lie on a minor because you could just say minors and you don't have to reveal their information because they're minors, right? You know, you have to reveal any names. I mean, obviously, if he was doing it to some of the minors, man, I'm not condoning that, man. May he rest in, you know what I mean? You know where. But to be honest with you, it's just getting to the point where it's just getting kind of ridiculous now. You know what I'm saying? What else are they gonna? What haven't they said about him? He did it with had sex with an animal or something? Are they gonna say that next? I don't get it, man.
Were revealed today by attorneys representing more than 100 alleged victims who are preparing to sue. So
120 allegations. Y'all really believe that? Do y'all believe that 120 allegations? So you mean to tell me, let's count to 120 right now, because that's how many people they talking about. 1, 2, 120? Come on, man. They think we stupid. They're going too far, you know? And all them people gonna sue? Even if it was 120 victims, how would he even have enough money to accommodate that? And why is it about suing? How come it's not about justice? Why is it not about seeing him behind bars? Oh man, let's go.
Let's bring in NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas right now. So, Chloe, we know there is currently a press conference underway. We do have a live picture of that. Can you just walk us through these new allegations and tell us if we've heard from Combs yet?
So the individual that you see on the screen right now, that is an attorney based out of Houston, Texas, and his name is Tony Busby. He's been a part of some very well-known litigation over the years involving a BP oil spill, even involving the Astroworld Music Festival crisis where some individuals were killed during a stampede. So he has made headlines before, but this is pretty shocking. So he claims is claiming right now at this press conference that he has had over 3,000 individuals reach out to his law firm.
3,000? 3,000, right? Number 3 again.
In Houston, Texas, that he and his team have been vetting these claims, that now they are representing over 120 accusers, and that over the next 30 days, they will begin to find
30, 33? 3 accusers, 30 days? Damn, the numbers keep coming up. Wow. Kind of interesting, right?
File different civil suits, that this is not a class action lawsuit, that they are going to continue to vet these allegations, but right now they feel strong about these. So he also said today that it's not just Combs that will be named as a defendant, that there will be other high-profile individuals, some household names. He says, quote, many powerful people, there are many dirty secrets. He says that his team has collected pictures, video, and that the allegations include violent sexual assault or rape, facilitated sex with a controlled substance, dissemination of video recordings, and sexual abuse of minors. So this was something else that they talked about, that there are 25 accusers who were allegedly minors at the time that these allegations took place starting in 1991, span all the way up over 2 decades.
You guys know, Puffy was not rich in 1991, right? Do y'all know Puffy was not rich in 1991? Bad Boy didn't even start till like 1993, 1994. So this dude was still working for Andre Harrell, maybe, I think, or maybe he was in college, I think, 1991. That doesn't, that don't make no sense, right? He didn't have money like that in 1991. He wouldn't have fame like that. He was not famous like that. Puff Daddy was not famous like that. So that's a lie. That's a lie right there. They lying, dude. He wasn't famous or rich in 1991. He didn't have no control. I mean, he didn't have no power, none of that. Nobody knew who Puff Daddy was in 1991. People didn't know no Puff Daddy for no Andre Harrell. Andre Harrell was the one that had the clout and the money that worked for Atlantic? What was the Uptown? Or Arista, I think. And that turned into Bad Boy. Or no, excuse me, what is it? I forget, damn. But yeah, man, Puffy was not all the way from 1991. I'm not saying, I don't know if it happened or not, but it just doesn't make any sense to me, because he was not rich or famous in 1991. He was nobody. He was working his way up in 1991. He wasn't. That's weird. How do you doing all that without, to who? And then why didn't nobody say anything back then? And then, I mean, obviously these people are grown now, so why don't they say nothing now? Oh, it was minors, but you can say minors, but then there has to be a certain statute of limitation for one when it comes down to stuff like that. I'm not saying there should be. And for two, you talk about minors, these people are grown now. How come these people aren't speaking out You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I don't know. You just got to be careful when stuff like this. I'm not, but if he did do any of this, man, he needs to be locked up for the rest of his life. You know, if that's an if, right? But I'm not condoning none of this, but at the same time, it just doesn't make any sense, you know.
He also talks about where these individuals are from. He said that they hail from more than 25 states, New York, California, Florida. We know that Diddy had a residence in Miami, Georgia. We've reached out to Sean Combs' legal team for comment. They have not yet responded. Combs is currently being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn while he is awaiting trial on the New York indictment where he is charged with.
If you're a nobody, if somebody nobody does it to you, why don't you lock them up? What would be the shame? I mean, what would be the or why would you not have a problem doing something to the person if they did that to you? If you were just a nobody, I don't get it. But if they were rich and famous, wouldn't you be scared to come out? Or wouldn't that be the whole reason why these people haven't came out? The whole reason they're stressing that these people, or they left it a secret? You know what I'm saying? I'm just going with the narrative, man. So the so-called narrative. You know what I'm saying?
Racketeering, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges. Now, I also just want to point out that they also claim that 62% of these individuals are identifying as an African American, and that they are evenly split between female accusers and
what does any of that matter? What does the race matter? So what is they're bringing up because they're black? What does any of that matter? See, that lets you know this some don't add up. So the fact that they're black, I don't get it. So you're not going to say the names. You're not going to say, that's funny. So you're not going to say the names of the people. You're not going to reveal these people because they're grown now. So you could say something now. You could reveal their names and everything now. You're not going to say any detail, but you're just going to tell us that they're black. Most of them are black. So that's supposed to, what is that supposed to like make black people think, oh, I don't know, man. I just think this is mad conditioning, man, to be honest with you. But like I said, it's just, when the news is on something like this, is hard for me to when a person, because P. Diddy and Puffy's an actor. He's an actor. He's an actor. He's been in movies, multiple movies. So when I get somebody, when an actor is on trial or actor or somebody that's an entertainer, it's kind of, I don't know, man. Sometimes you gotta be careful. I don't want to be fooled. I don't want to look like a fool and, oh man, he's guilty, man. Fuck him in the black community. And then he come to find out it's all some BS. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, I'm neutral on this one, man. But at the same time, man, I mean, of course, anybody that does something like that is a piece of shit. But okay. And now you're talking about his son's faces a sexual assault. Really? Come on, dude. Oh, like father, like son, right? All right, let me see. Damn, this is not the one. Well, they said he had the same lawyer as, what's this dude's name? I don't even know this dude's name. I'm about to get off here, man. I've been on here for a minute. I just want to see. Let me get into this real quick. And I'm going to play like 5 minutes of this and I'm out. shit.
You know, it's funny because over the years, journalists, some, not most, will want to talk about it. And I say, okay, if you want to have this conversation, I'm prepared to have it, but sit down and get comfortable for a few hours. If you want to start talking about race in America, you want to talk about what, the 1/8 rule?
Kamala, the cosplaying chameleon, don't threaten us with a good time now. Yeah, let's go ahead and have that conversation. Specifically, why you said this lady was your grandmother when she died 4 years before you were even born. Let's talk about that. And since you've switched your identity to a Black American, you know, when you need a Black support and credibility on the national stage, please tell us where are those tangibles for Black Americans, since you're supposed to be one of us.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No.
Oh yeah, how could I forget you say you're not doing nothing for us? Kamala the Cosplaying Chameleon cackled her way down to the All the Smoke podcast, hosted by Beavis and Butthead of the NBA Circa 2000. If you want me to give my thoughts about them and the overall interview, drop part 2 below in the comments. I will say I did notice this Masonic uniform Steven Jackson was wearing, along with that Baphomet-looking hairstyle. You know Kamala's uncle was a Freemason too. All of these people are clicked in some way with each other. It's not a coincidence that she chose them to sit down with. I'll definitely speak more on that in part 2 if that's what you want to see. But Kamala ran over there because she knew she wouldn't have to answer any real questions. She's been ducking Candace Owens for a week now, and in this recent interview, she called herself clapping back at the people who had something to say about her racial identity switch.
So, you know, I don't mess with that. I think that's other people trying to figure some stuff out that they
got some issues.
They got to deal with it.
Nah, Kamala, that's your problem because it's not looking good for you. Millions of people are trying to figure out why you Rachel Dolezal yourself to the White House, hijacking the identity of Black American women when you're not even Black. Yes, Madam VP, that is indeed your problem right now, and specifically why you can't be trusted.
I want to show you something that's actually fascinating. So we've already deduced that for whatever reason, they, and by they, I'm referring obviously to Kamala's family, particular.
I just trip off her too because she's full of it too, though. Candace Owens, you know what I'm saying? The same person who was a Democrat before, the same person that sued one of them colleges for discrimination. Now all of a sudden she would, you know, I guess from people she's telling me she was talking different before on YouTube. Now all of a sudden she talking bad about Black people now. The bash Black people basic bargaining. You know what I'm saying? The bash Black people bang up. That's what she do is bash Black people, man. That's all she do. That's her hustle, man. You know. But you know, and they both were with non-Black men. It's just very interesting. I don't know. I guess I'm not a Kamala fan. I'm not a Candace Owens fan, right?
Particularly Donald Harris and Kamala herself are trying to pass off via a sleight of hand white Iris as Black Iris. Okay, and break this down again to be real careful here. Black Iris is Iris Finnegan. He claims that Iris Finnegan, Black Iris, is Kamala's great-grandmother. She claims that it's her great-grandmother in her book. And we see no evidence of that aside from this picture, which Donald claims that he shot of Kamala sitting on her lap. I felt that Iris was the help. What we know about Iris Finnegan is that her maiden name is Allen. So she was born Aura Iris Allen Finnegan. Okay. And then she marries allegedly Patrick Finnegan and takes on the Finnegan last name. Okay. White Iris, on the other hand, was born Iris Cambridge and takes on the last name Harris. And she also has a baptismal name named Vioris. So she becomes Iris Cambridge Harris. Well, check this out. Okay. In 1958, Cynthia Cambridge and her now husband, Freemason Alvis Cambridge, arrived on a first-class ship into Miami from Jamaica. And aboard that ship was also Iris F. Harris. Now, pause. What is wrong with this? Pull it back up. What is wrong with this? Her middle initial. Why on earth? Now, it makes sense that Iris and Alves and Alves's wife are all on the ship together coming from Jamaica. They make a stop. The last port they stop at is Nassau, Bahamas, before they arrive into Miami. But why is Iris's middle initial F? She was not born. She was never married into a Finnegan family. Why did she adopt that middle initial? That's huge. It's very strange that she would have done that. Remember, Donald is alleging that Black Iris, great-grandmother, right, at no point her last name would have been Harris, just Finnegan. She was born Iris Ora Allen, again, just reiterating that, and she became Finnegan when she got married to Patrick Finnegan. So we know that this is not her on board this ship with the Harris last name. We know for a fact that that is our white Iris who married Oscar Harris. But she never had a middle initial F. I think this is the earliest indication that she was taking on the identity of the help. I remain convinced that Miss Iris was in fact the help. Like I said, if a single Black person is okay with this and votes for her because the media simply decided to make her Black, to essentially wave a little Harry Potter wand and go, oh, okay, we just need you to be Black because we need those Black votes.
Harry Potter wand. I mean, she's right. I agree with her and everything. You know, I agree.
Right? And you're okay with that? You should really re-examine your life. You should deeply, spiritually search within yourself to determine what is wrong with you, that you would allow this sleight of hand to compel you to vote for this woman, despite her horrific record, by the way, of locking up Black men. Who is this woman?
Yeah, this whole case of identity switch is bizarre. Something Kamala and her people are very used to doing. She's already pulled off one of the biggest scams in America. Look, the lady is a heartbeat away from being president. And what Candace is unraveling over there is absolutely crazy. From her standing next to a woman that was supposed to be anywhere from mulatto to white.
She got the salt and pepper haircut. She got the salt and pepper haircut. Damn, that's funny, bro.
So who is that woman that is in the photo with Kamala? Okay. Her father was Patrick Alhanasus Finnegan, who was an Irish slaver. Okay. So that woman that you just saw, at a bare minimum, has to be half white. An Irish slaver is who her father was. Doesn't look like that.
And the birth certificate that she has is interesting because the confusion comes from a mistake. On the birth certificate, it lists the mother's race as Caucasian, national origin India, and religion Hindu. For the father, it does not list national origin. It does not list religion. It does not list anything about that, but where it says race, they put national origin in Jamaica by mistake. Now, if you've ever been to Jamaica and you go over to St. Elizabeth Parish, you see all the high, bright, and white that live in Jamaica. So I've got a good friend retired from law enforcement. He has a white wife, blonde-haired, blue eyes, but she was born in Jamaica. Her parents were born in Jamaica. One's blonde and blue-eyed, the other one's red-haired and gray-eyed. And they happen to be related to the King of England because they are aristocrats in England, but they were born in Jamaica. It's not unusual. You're not Black just because you are from Jamaica. And they have a whole lot of white people that never left, and their ancestors owned a lot of slaves. The Maroons went up into the hill country and got themselves free back in the 1840s. But, you know, other than that, it is what it is in Jamaica. So just because you're from that country does not mean you are of the Black race. So the problem is why don't you go get your daddy to give you an affidavit that you have a Black ancestor? And since the only possible claim you have is through your great-grandmother, who he says was a Hindu house servant, that just happens to be swarthy, where'd you get your Blackness from? See, you're faking it again.
Hindu house servant. Is what they're alleging that Iris was. And I am telling you, the fact that I just picked up on that in a vibe in a picture, do not tell me women do not have good gut instincts. I was just like, there's just something about the photo. It just wasn't loving. It felt very much like the help who got close with the kids, but didn't want to be too close to the kids because, you know, you never know when the mom's going to get upset because you're too close to the kids, kind of a kid situation. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? A lot of this stuff is just common sense, but it's just not that common anymore. People are just like, I cannot believe my own eyes. I need to read the media. And CNN says that she's Jamaican. And then people were just confused. Like, they were literally asking the question, she was in Jamaica. How can you say that she's not black? How can you even ask me this question? Like, where is your common sense? If I up and move to Sweden, I get to suddenly say I'm white? What's wrong with you guys? I mean, this is like common sense. Of course, there are white people in Jamaica. There are white people everywhere. There are white people in Africa. Does not make them black. Elon Musk is not a strong black man.
Just like Kamala the cosplaying chameleon isn't the strong black woman that she's been pretending to be for a couple of years to make it to the White House. And now she's using the identity of Black American women to wiggle her way into the position as a top leader of the world. So, of course, Kamala used her interview to low-key address these shocking allegations by taking digs at people calling out her BS.
Yeah.
You've always been secure in your identity, who you are, but what do you feel or what do you think when you hear people kind of questioning just the fabric of who you are?
Well, one, I don't listen to it.
Okay.
I'm really clear about who I am, and if anybody else is not, they need to go through their own level of therapy. That's not my issue.
Yeah, they're doing the research, Kamala, and your paperwork came back dirty. At this point, you're looking more and more like a pretending chameleon.
That's right.
My mother was very clear. She was raising two black girls to be two proud black women.
Oh, okay, now she switched it up now. You know, this is off stage at this point. I'm not buying none of this. I'm not even gonna report none of this no more. I don't care what race or whatever. It's just BS at this point. I'm not gonna feed into it. More important stories, more important things are going on.
Wait a damn minute. Wait a damn.
Please, somebody tell me, how can an Indian woman raise two girls to be proud Black American women when none of y'all are Black American in the first place? So stop it. No one in your whole bloodline on either side. And she raised you mostly in Canada. How can an Indian turned Canadian woman raise Black American women? I don't care about none of this baby bop bimbo babble. Kamala isn't Black American in any way, lineage, race, or culture.
And it was never a question. You know, it's funny because over the years, journalists, some, not most, will want to talk about it. And I say, okay, if you want to have this conversation, I'm prepared to have it, but sit down and get comfortable for a few hours. If you want to start talking about race in America, you want to talk about the 1/8 rule? You want to talk about what it means in terms of who you are perceived to be and the impact that can have on the rest of your life, regardless of who you actually are in terms of your God-given capacity.
If you knew how much of an impact it was to be Black and the things Black people went through, it's crazy you would know all of that, but still say this.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No.
And stop talking about some one-drop rule. That's American culture and part of the original Black American story. You're neither Black or Black American. So stop trying to cloak yourself in Blackness to hide the fact that you come from Irish slave masters on both sides of your daddy's family. And the real reason you have an issue when Black Americans discuss tangibles is because you have a history, lineage, and bloodline of anti-Black ideology and colorism on both sides of your family. We're not even going to talk about your mama's family and their discussed for even darker-skinned Indians. See, Kamala up here talking about having that conversation, but lady, I don't expect for you to have that conversation with Beavis and Butthead or anyone in the mainstream media or co-signed by the mainstream media. No way, I don't expect that because all of them are protecting you, along with the Black boule that's also holding you up right now as their curry queen. So no, stop pretending like you really want to have this conversation. You've been doing nothing but running away from it.
Exactly, facts. Shout out Pink Book Lessons. She be spitting fire, man. Shout her out, man. Shout out to her. Salute to her. Check out her channel, Pink Book Lessons. Subscribe. Go check her out. So they took cheating allegations. Damn. So if that was a Black man, these Black women would rip them apart. If that was a black man, that's interesting. They rip her apart. Rip him apart. They'd be like, why don't you leave him? He ain't, he had cheated this now. Yeah, that's typical stereotypical stuff on a black man, but this is not a black man. I don't see no black women saying nothing about this. Or women, period. Wow. Slapping on them, cheating on them.
You are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that been an evolution for you? And do you think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman?
It's funny. I've started to think a lot about this. I've always been like this. My dad.
He look like one of them dudes from Ghostbusters, man. He really does. So check this out. Let me see. I want to hear these people talk about this, man. You know what I'm saying? Megan Kelly.
Now, do you remember this Jen Psaki clip that we showed?
Age good. Damn, she didn't age good.
You just a couple of days ago, and we mocked her for her ridiculous lapdog boot-licking performance when she had this guy, knowing he had cheated on his first wife before Kamala Harris with his child's nanny. Look, people have marital problems and they make bad decisions when they're married to people that they don't love. All right. However, banging your child's nanny and impregnating her is in a special league of its own.
Same thing. What's his name did? Arnold Schwarzenegger did the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Whatever. He got through the marriage. He managed to somehow remain friends with that first wife, and he married Kamala. I think most of us would have left it alone if he hadn't then paraded himself out there and let the media parade himself out there like he was the ideal husband on steroids. Like he is the new version of what it means to be a real man and eschews toxic masculinity and should really be the role model for my boys and yours. F that. I want my boys to be like my husband, who did not bang the nanny, nor impregnate another woman while married to me or ever. It's insane that they tried to sell us this lie. That was the context in which we raised, before I get to today's news, the following Jen Psaki clip where she interviewed the current second gentleman, the man who could be our first gentleman in a few months on, I think it was Sunday. Watch.
An interesting part of how people have talked about your role here is how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that been an evolution for you? And do you think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman?
It's funny. I've started to think a lot about this. I've always been like this. My dad was like this. And to me, it's the right thing to do. You know, support women. When we lift up women, we support women, whether it's pay equity, childcare, family leave, and all these issues that, this post-Dobbs hellscape, women should not be less than.
There's a pop culture phrase, wife guy, which you've kind of been known as. Are you familiar with this?
I've heard about it.
As called a wife guy, a proud wife guy. How do you feel about that?
Well, if I do something annoying to Kamala and she gets upset, I'll just show her that article.
Right.
Oh, it's an interesting gesture there at the end with the hand in your face, because that's the news today, that this so-called always supporter of women actually smacked an ex-girlfriend in the face. Either a smack or a punch. It was unclear, according to the Daily Mail's exclusive reporting, that this super guy who's redefined toxic masculinity actually beat a woman that he was dating prior to Kamala. The Daily Mail reports that he did not respond to requests for comment on the article. What does that mean? Is it not even going to be a denial? I guess they'll get around to it. Just an allegation right now, but let me tell you, take some time today to read that Daily Mail report, because it's incredibly detailed, incredibly, with several friends of the very successful attorney that he was dating, his alleged victim, going to the Daily Mail, providing records to the Daily Mail, speaking in great detail about the call that the abuse victim alleged made to them after he smacked her in front of other people, in front of French valets over there in Cannes, France.
Wow.
And no one's looked into this, I guess, other than the Daily Mail. Certainly Jen Psaki, I hope, wasn't aware of it when she let him get away with, I've always been like this, a supporter of women, except when I'm slapping them in the face or banging the nanny on the ones I'm married to behind the back of. I'm sorry, this is just, if this were a Republican, it would be leading every news channel. Every news channel.
All right.
One of our guests on this show last night, Mark Halperin, reported on our show last month that there was still more Oppo research to drop about Vice President Harris and her husband, how she, and by extension he, had never really been formally vetted. Look how she got elevated so quickly to the VP spot under Biden. He was losing. He needed to win South Carolina to secure the nomination. He made a deal with James Clyburn. He would select a black woman as his running mate. Bob's your uncle. She was in. It's just unbelievable. Now the vetting begins by the Daily Mail. God bless them, because they actually do look into these stories other people think are too beneath them to check, although they'd love to report these other respectable news outlets on Stormy Daniels and whether she said Trump wore a condom.
All right, so yeah. But yeah, I just think it's that's crazy, man. All right, so look. We're going to the social impact bonds real quick, man.
I'm Jock Rogers, Strategic Lead Commissioner for Manchester City Council.
And I'm Daria Kuznetsova from Big Society Capital, a UK social investor.
A social impact bond is a new way to finance the delivery of public services, which involves three parties: a commissioner,
a service provider,
and an investor.
Right across the country, local and central government commission services that are focused upon tackling a range of social issues. So, a commissioner might pay a charity like us to develop a service that supports young people at risk of entering care or custody.
And while we think it'll work, there's no guarantee specific outcomes will actually be achieved.
A SIB is different. It ensures commissioners only pay for services that deliver.
With a SIB, a commissioner establishes measurable outcomes the project should achieve.
For example, getting a qualification or improved school attendance. A charity or social enterprise develops a service to support a group of people to meet those outcomes.
An investor helps finance the project and enables staff to be hired.
Then, if the outcomes are achieved, the commissioner will then pay the investor back over time.
A SIB ensures commissioners only pay for what works,
whilst allowing expert organisations to test new approaches and develop early interventions.
Most importantly, the focus on outcomes drives better performance.
And the investor can make both a social and financial return. SIBs are being developed across the UK and internationally,
and are financing programs tackling some of society's most complex social problems in a completely...
See, that's what that be, social impact bonds. That be that type of stuff, man. You know what I'm saying, going on with these disasters, man, you know. It's money to be made from all this stuff. So I'm gonna holler at y'all, man. So you know what I mean? I've been on here for a minute. Take my butt off here, man. Salute, man. Like, share, subscribe. If you're not subscribed, hit the notification bell. Share this out to your social media. You know what I'm saying? Until then, just stay vigilant, stay watchful. Just don't believe everything you hear, man. Most of the stuff is a distraction. Most of the stuff is a lie any damn way. So until then, y'all, you know what I mean? Yeah, man, Junior Coltrane, everybody that came on here, Doc Balls, Shannon, who else? You know what I'm saying? Junior Coltrane in the house. Who else came on here? But yeah, man, other than that, salute, y'all, man, for tapping in, checking me out, man. I appreciate it. You know what I mean? If I don't do a show tomorrow, I'll definitely do it on Friday, man. Yeah, man. So y'all tap in with me. I might do one tomorrow though, but if not Friday. So till next time, share this out, like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, keep your eyes open, man. Stay watchful, man. All right, peace.